That's case number 396 on the calendar in the matter of Brody versus Speech.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat, please.
Mr. Brody, you and the defendant were friends. It is your claim that he borrowed a camper that was yours. He had it on his property when it was stolen, and you believe he is responsible for it. Mr. Speech has a different version of the events. He says that he did, in fact, borrow the camper. He determined at some point that it was not the right size for him to take. He told you that. You decided to leave the camper on his work site anyway because there was some work that was going to be done on the camper. And it was during that time that the camper was stolen. That's your defense. So time becomes very important. What kind of camper was this before we get to the timeline?
It's a 28-foot travel camper.
You have a picture of it?
Yes.
I'd like to take a look at it. I'm not the camping type, but you might have guessed that. I'm an indoor plumbing girl. Very lovely. Now, I understand, Mr. Brody, that the camper needed some work.
Yes.
So tell me about the loan that you made to him.
Well, my father had passed away, left me a little bit of money. We bought the camper to go down to the Outer Banks.
Outer Banks of?
North Carolina. Angelo had called me and asked me if he could borrow the camper. I said, no problem. There's a few things.
When did he call you?
Middle of December. There's a few things that needed to be checked on it.
When had you purchased it?
I had purchased it on August 18th, 06.
Had you used it?
Hadn't used it yet.
And where was it? Just sitting on your property?
Yes, in the backyard.
Go ahead.
Okay.
So it needed some work.
Needed a few things checked on it. I didn't know how long the camper had been sitting, so I wanted to make sure that the bearings were checked.
Well, you knew
on
it had been sitting for a while, so it needed to be overhauled before
Yes.
it was going to be used.
Yes, ma'am.
And you told him that?
Yes. He said no problem. He would have a mechanic look at it that works with them up at their construction site. They took the camper, and Angelo had called me on the 8th and said, did you come by and get the camper?
The 8th of what?
Of January.
Okay.
I said, no, I haven't. Why? He said, well, the camper's missing. We were going to take it this past weekend and decided that the camper was too large. We weren't going to take it. So after that, I called and made a police report, got the police report taken care of.
He said to you, we were going to take it last weekend. We didn't take it because it was too large. It was here, but now it's gone.
Yes.
And in between December 15th and January 8th, you had not heard from him.
I had talked to him after he'd picked up the camper and said that the camper was there.
And that was the only time?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Speech, now I'll hear you.
Basically, that is what happened. I arranged for the trailer to be picked up and worked on, and then it was too large. I wasn't used to pulling anything behind my truck, so I just left it there, and it got stolen over the weekend.
I thought you said, sir, that you called him and told him to get it because you weren't going to use it. That's what you wrote in your answer.
I did. I'm sorry, I didn't. I was just going along with what he said, which was the same thing.
No, it's not the same thing at all, Mr. Speech.
As what he just said?
Yeah, it's not the same thing at all. What you wrote in your answer is not the same thing at all, Mr. Brody said. What you said in your answer was after you got the trailer at your work site, you called him.
Said the trailer was there.
Once I saw the camper, I realized it was too large for our vacation plans. I called Seth and told him that I no longer wanted to borrow the camper. He said that was no problem, but that he was going to still have the camper worked on at my lot. I mean, you wrote this. You swore to it. Is this what happened?
That is what happened.
Oh, well, you didn't tell me that, sir. When did you call him and tell him that you weren't going to use it and he should come and get it? Take your hands out of your pockets.
Right before we left to go on our vacation.
Tell me about it, sir. We're making things up as we go along, Mr. Speech. Tell me about it.
What would you like to know?
I would like to know the truth, sir.
That's the truth.
Tell me the truth. Tell me.
I asked Mr. Brody if I could borrow the trailer.
Gotcha. He
agreed.
said yes. You came and picked up the trailer sometime in December, middle of the month. Keep going.
I called him, told him the trailer was there at the shop. It was being worked on. Then I called him back and said, we're going on our vacation. I'm not taking the trailer. When I got back from the vacation...
Just a second. I'm going on vacation. I'm not taking the trailer.
Correct.
When did you tell him that?
It was right before the 1st of January because we were going out of town for the 1st, for New Year's.
And what did he say?
He said, okay, call me when you get back.
Why didn't you return it to him?
It got stolen before I got a chance to.
No.
We didn't know if it even got worked on yet. I couldn't get in touch with the mechanic to find out if he did the work he was supposed to do.
That has nothing to do with him. Why didn't you just take it back?
Because I never drove the trailer. I wouldn't drive it out of town because I didn't want to hook it to my truck and drive it because it was
How
too
did
big.
it get from his house to your work site?
The mechanic.
Well, why didn't you get somebody else to do it?
We couldn't get in touch with the mechanic.
Who's we?
Well, I couldn't get in touch with the mechanic.
You took it from him. It's your responsibility to get it back to him if you're not going to use it.
Correct, and it was going to be returned to him, but it got stolen.
I understand that, but then who do you think is responsible for it during the period of time that you were too busy to return it?
I believe that's why we're here, for you to help figure out who's
Well,
responsible.
who do you think is responsible? It's one thing, Mr. Speech, if you say, as you swore to in your answer, that I told him I didn't want to borrow it, and he said no problem, but that he was still going to have the camper worked on in my lot.
Correct.
That would have meant that it was his responsibility, if that's what he said to you. If he said, leave it there, I want to have it worked on in your lot.
He said, is it fixed yet? I said, I do not know if it's fixed yet. I can't get in touch with the mechanic, and I'm going out of town.
And he said?
He said, well, let me know when you get back if it got fixed. When I got back, I called him and said, I just assumed it must have gotten fixed because the trailer wasn't there. I thought Mr. Brody picked it up.
Oh, is that what you said to him?
I called
Call me when
him.
you get back?
I hadn't talked to him before he left. He let me know that the trailer was there and then called me on the 8th of January to ask me if I had picked it up.
I believe you, because he's making up this story as he's going along. I agree with you that he's responsible. He picked it up. He didn't want it anymore. He should have returned it to you. How much did you pay for the trailer?
I paid $5,000.
Show me. You have a check?
No, I don't.
You have something from your bank. I don't necessarily believe this, sir.
I mean, I have the certificate title for it, and I have
Yeah?
the police report.
Yeah?
I paid cash for the trailer. It was money that my father had left me right after he passed away.
Father didn't leave you cash. Your father left money. If he left money, he left it in form of an estate. Estate goes into a bank. Bank you write a check from. It's not clipping
I
coupons.
had brought him cash for the trailer. Angela had given me $500 already towards the loss of the trailer, so it was only $4,500.
What year trailer is this?
It's a 1997 Dutchman travel trailer.
You have a blue book on those? Let's check it. Can I see the title, please, by the way, as long as we're here?
I don't think they have RVs. I can look online.
Let's do that,
Okay.
okay?
Be right back.
Thank you.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Seth Brody says his former friend, Angelo Speech, owes for a vacation camper that was stolen while in his possession. Angelo claims the incident is Seth's fault.
After extensive research, and we need a new printer. That's one price. The minimum one we found was $6,500.
Good. You got a bargain, sir. You gave him $500?
I did.
For what?
Because he's a friend of mine, and I figured that would help cover the deductible.
What deductible?
I thought there was insurance on it, so I gave him
What
the
made
money.
you think there was insurance on it?
Because most people that have a vehicle have some sort of insurance on the vehicle.
Did you give him $500 in check or cash?
Cash. We deal with cash. It was cash.
You people do an awful lot of business with cash.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have insurance on it?
No, ma'am.
How come?
When I bought the trailer, I asked them if I needed to have insurance on it. They said no, I didn't.
Who's they?
The DMV.
Tell me about what happened when Mr. Speech gave you the $500.
He met me, gave me the money.
What did he say? Well, he must have called you first.
Yes, called me. We met at a 7-Eleven.
Called you and said what?
He said, I have some money for you. I'm going to try to get you a little bit at a time. And I said, that's fine. So we met.
When was this?
This was sometime in June.
So nothing happened between the 6 months that it was stolen in June?
No, ma'am.
Had you tried to contact him?
Yes.
And what happened?
We had talked a few times, and he says, I'm going to take care of this. I'm going to give you a little bit at a time. And then he felt, after we had talked a few other times, he had felt that he shouldn't have to pay for the whole trailer because I didn't have insurance on it.
Is that what you said?
Yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $4,500. It's your responsibility, Mr. Speech, to get the trailer back to Mr. Brody. Do you understand?
I do.
That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I was trying to figure it out in my head who was right and who was wrong.
When you borrow something from somebody, you need to take full responsibility for it.
The whole time I just felt bad about the situation.
I think it worked out, the way it was meant to work out. I'm just so glad it's over.
It was tough on the friendship.
It's definitely put a strain on the friendship.
I hope in a few years we'll see each other again and laugh about this one day.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Gagnon versus Keller. Step forward, please.
Deborah Gagnon is suing her former friend, Richard Keller, for unfinished construction on her outdoor deck. Richard claims he was fired from the job.
Ms. Gagnon, according to your complaint, you've known this young man for a very long time. And he came to you and asked if you could loan him some money. I think it was $7,000.
Yes.
To start a business and to do some other things, whatever. And you said, fine. You entered into a bartering arrangement with him because I assume you are a contractor or
Yes, Your Honor.
build things, and you wanted a deck for your pool.
Yes.
So you agreed that in exchange for the $7,000, he would build you a deck for your pool. It is your claim that he did not finish the job, and it cost you another $2,300 to have somebody else finish the work?
$6,000. $2,300 for supplies, and then $2,300 for labor.
No, well, that's not what you said in your complaint, by the way. What you said in your complaint was he owes me $2,300 for my deck.
Right.
And $3,000 for the damage he did to my garage.
Right.
But I'm willing to settle for $5,000, which is the court maximum. You didn't say
Right.
anything about any labor for anything else. You want me to show you what you signed?
No, I know, but this is a very involved case. There's a lot going on here.
There's not a lot going on.
That's what
There's
she
not a
has
lot
said
going
is
on.
not true, Your
That's
Honor.
what you wrote in your complaint.
Okay.
Okay, $2,300 for the deck and $3,000 for damage he did to the garage. The defendant says that you fired him from the job, was perfectly willing to finish the job. He did close to $20,000 worth of work for the $7,000 that you gave to him. He owes you nothing. I'd like to see photographs of the deck.
Well, I have unfinished deck here for you to look at.
I'd like to see what it looked like before he started, what it looked like when he left, and what it looked like after you finished.
Okay, there's all the photos right there.
Take out 3 photos for me. Sure.
Your Honor, that money that I borrowed off her was 3 months prior to this deck ever being arranged or the pool was installed. She loaned me money after I've already completed a roof job for her and remodeled her tattoo shop. And I had borrowed money for another lawsuit that I didn't get paid for.
Listen
and
to me,
fix my
Mr. Keller. Nowhere in your answer do you say anything about any of this other nonsense that you're talking to me about. Nowhere. You say that she fired you from the job.
I didn't make any comments about the firing. I was talking about how I owed her money and how it was arranged to pay her back. She bought the pool well after I borrowed the money. I was supposed to pay her back with the money that she was helping me get back from another lawsuit, and instead of making her wait that long, she bought a pool, and I said, well, I'll pay my own guys, my own payroll, and build you a deck. And it ended up being a 60 by 57 deck that cost me thousands.
So what?
Can I explain this to you, please? I loaned him...
I just want to see the deck.
Well, let me explain.
I want to see what the deck looked like before he started, when he left, and when it was finished. I have no idea what these unfinished pictures are.
Well, here's the deck unfinished, materials all wasted, cut off.
I just want to see what it looked like when he left.
I purchased the pool, okay? And then he said he would build me a deck.
Listen, I have limited time. I've asked you to show me 3 separate pictures.
Well, I don't have a picture of nothing there. I bought the pool, he started building me the deck.
Fine, then show me what it looks like now finished.
Yes.
It's not hard.
There's 2.
Okay, so that's what it looks like finished. Very nice. Now I want you to show me 1 picture of what it looked like when he left. Could you show this to the defendant, please? Is that what the pool looked like when you left, the deck?
Yes, ma'am.
Good.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now I'll take a look at it. Now I want to see a paid bill for the completion of the deck.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, $2,300. Looks like $2,300 worth of work. You got a bargain. Now, tell me why you're not responsible for the $2,300.
There was no reason to hire another contractor. Our agreement had no start and completion date. It was on my own free time. There were other matters that were involved of why she got mad at me. She told me to leave her property.
Why did she get mad at you, Mr. Keller?
For things not even related to construction. She wanted
What?
a relationship. She wanted other things. And she's married. I was married. And I just couldn't even be at her house anymore.
Shh. So you couldn't be at her house anymore? Is that what you... Put your hand down!
I never stopped going to her house.
No, that's it. So first you owe her $2,300 to finish the job, okay, because that was your agreement. Now, tell me about the damaged garage.
That night that he says he got thrown off the property, he called my cell phone, and of course my battery was going dead, and my phone completely shut off. He was at the strip club, and he called me drunk, wasted, and he wanted me to come down there. I'm like, no, I can't. I'm here trying to figure out finishing my deck. It's been 3 months, 3 weeks, a weekend, and 2 days. And he promised me he was going to finish it, and I've been waiting for 3 weeks for him to come back.
Could you please get finished with the deck?
He started screaming at me, calling me all kinds of names. He was very verbal. I had 2 friends there. I was so scared. I was shaking. I was so upset. He was just going nuts, crazy, just wacko. And then he got mad at me and calling me names, leaving my property, calling me very bad names.
I heard about the bad names. Could we get on to the garage?
Well, he spun out of my driveway. He spun out so bad, he took his van and he threw gravel all over my garage door, broke a brand new garage door, little bing holes. He broke out the window. And then during the time he was working on my deck, his employee backed into my garage and damaged the garage.
He owes you $2,300. Stop it. It's nonsense. It's not even what you wrote in here. You got $7,000 from her?
No.
You got $7,000
No,
in
Your
cash
Honor.
from
Yes,
her?
he did.
No, Your Honor.
You don't
that's
deny
not,
that you got $7,000 from her?
Yes, I do.
I have
only got
receipts.
$4,600
I have
from her.
proof, all here.
It was
You
2
have a
months
check
prior
for
to
the
that.
$7,000?
I have proof, yes, I have it right here, that I gave him money to fix his van.
How much did you give him to fix his van?
I gave him so much money. It's just endless.
How
I
much
gave him like $4,000 to fix his van. Then I gave him $1,672 for the CII investigation. And then I gave him $200 for his wife for a trailer.
You don't see each other anymore? You don't have anything to do with each other anymore? Absolutely perfect. You owe $2,300, which is what you spent to fix something that you were supposed to fix. That's all.
Yeah, this is case number 506 on the calendar in the matter of Felicia versus Cass.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Mr. Felicia, the defendant was your landlady for approximately 6 months, and according to your complaint, she had you falsely arrested for both assault and menacing in September 2007. So you want to be compensated for your bail and the time you spent in jail. Ms. Cass says that you were, in fact, high on drugs, that she had every right to call the police because you behaved in a threatening manner, which she will describe to me. Describe this arrangement. Was it a house, an apartment building?
She lived in a trailer, and I had just gotten a position at a Key Largo elementary school as a commercial electrician, and I needed somewhere to stay. So she rented me her screened-in porch for $400 a month.
On what date did you move into Miss Cass's screened-in porch?
Around January of '07.
How did you find the screened-in porch?
She had an ad in the paper for $400 a month.
What did the ad say, if you remember?
I think it said room for rent, $400.
Did it have a
included.
bathroom?
I had privileges to the kitchen and the bathroom inside the trailer, so I would sleep outside in the screened-in porch, and whenever I needed to use the utilities, I would go inside, no problem.
And there was one bathroom in the trailer?
Yes, there was.
Who else lived in the trailer?
Her by herself and her 3 dogs.
How do you support yourself, Miss Cass?
I have a pet sitting business called Precious Care Pet Sitting.
You mean you take care of them in your trailer?
No, I go to people's houses when they go out of town and take care of their pets.
That pays the bills?
Well, once in a while I had to add a roommate to help, but during the summertime it's slow, so I needed a roommate to help pay the bills.
So why don't you tell me, Miss Cass, how it came about that you had the plaintiff arrested?
Okay, Friday he came home and he was really happy that he didn't use any cocaine because he was starting a new job on Tuesday.
Let's start again. Friday was what date?
It was the Labor Day weekend, the Friday of Labor Day weekend. I'm thinking September 1st.
Of '07?
Yes, ma'am.
He came home and told you?
He didn't use cocaine. He was at a party and he was all excited because he was supposed to start a new job on Tuesday. He was unemployed. On Saturday, I woke up, he was gone. I didn't really keep track of where he was coming and going, and I get a call at 10 o'clock at night. He's all jacked up, stating that he found a real house, and he was really excited that he was moving out and not to be mad at him, that he'd be by later to get his things.
Had he ever used drugs when he lived in your house?
Not that I was aware of, Your Honor.
Okay. Did he come by that day?
Yes, ma'am. He came by at 3 o'clock in the morning. He was all wild-eyed and all hyper, and he kept saying, "Don't be mad at me, Mommy. Don't be mad at me, Mommy." But I got a real house with a bathroom, and he was all excited. And I said, "No problem. I don't mind." And I asked if he did use drugs, and he admitted it. And I also have it in the deposition that he took that he admitted it.
And the
In the
what
deposition, this case was originally a civil case. So 3 months ago, he took a deposition and admitted that he did admit to me that he did cocaine.
I'd like to see it.
Yes, ma'am. And I also have his police report, his background, that he's been arrested for cocaine and trespassing
I'd like to
charges.
see the deposition first. Did you sue her?
Yes, I filed a suit for restitution, punitive damages, wages lost. I was in jail during my birthday. She put me in jail during my birthday.
And what happened with that case?
I turned it into a small claims because we couldn't come to a resolution in the civil.
Your Honor, his lawyers walked out in the middle of the deposition and made a motion to withdraw.
The lawyers withdrew from representing you?
Yes, may I add, because her lawyer was filing motions and injunctions and just making the whole thing harder than it really was.
What did you expect her to do, roll over?
Well, that's true, you know, but I just wanted her to admit that what she did was a lie.
Were you using drugs that night in September, sir?
No, not that night. Maybe the night that I left.
The night that you left?
The night that I left, yeah.
Yes.
But when I came to the property to get my property, no.
That night, the night that you left, were you using drugs?
Yes.
What kind?
Coke and marijuana.
Where'd you get it from?
One of her social friends.
One of her friends?
One of her known friends. I didn't know him.
It wasn't my friend.
I knew him through her because I didn't know nobody. I just got in town to work.
He knew from an old roommate.
Okay, so the night that you left, you came home 3 o'clock in the morning to get your stuff. Where were you going to live?
At where they offered me another place.
They offered you another apartment. Who's they?
Her mutual friend, Augusta.
So she offered you what kind of a place to live?
A room, indoors.
And you decided to take that?
Well, I decided to give her a notice that I was planning to move.
Okay, so you called her at 10 o'clock.
So look, they offered me this place. I think I'm gonna find a move.
And then you came home at 3 o'clock.
To get his stuff.
That's what you said to me. You came home at 3 o'clock in the morning. Well, when did you come home? You called her?
At night, that 10 o'clock that she's talking about. That's when she had all my stuff in the porch.
No, first you had to call her, sir. Otherwise, she wouldn't have known that you were moving, right?
Right.
So first you called her.
Yeah, I called her and told her I was planning to move. But then later on, at 3 o'clock you're talking about, I came maybe to get a toothbrush or something. But it wasn't to get my stuff and leave.
He came to get...
Okay. Shh. I don't know whether it is or whether it isn't. Whether he came to get his stuff or he came to get his toothbrush. Whatever it was. He was high. He came home to get his toothbrush. You had already packed up all of his things when he called you at 10 o'clock, you said, and put his stuff on the porch.
The next day, Your Honor. The next night.
What happened when he came home at 3 o'clock?
When he came home at 3 o'clock on Saturday night, he was just all wired and telling me not to be sorry, and he went in the bathroom and cleared all his personal items out, told me he was getting some of his clothes and he'd be back Sunday to get the rest of his stuff.
Fine. And then what did you do?
I just went back to sleep, and then Sunday, Augusta came over crying at 12 o'clock, begging me to take him back.
He did?
The girl that he moved in with.
Planning to move in with.
So you didn't move in with her?
No, I planned to move.
What happened with Augusta?
Well, when I told her that I was planning to move, and then I went back to get my toothbrush or bathroom belongings, like she said, she had my things on the porch.
What happened with the other girl?
So when I went to get to the property, she called the cops. The cops came. They said, you can't do that to him. He has tenants' rights. You have to go through the eviction process.
So you have to
they
go
told
through
me
the
for
process.
the night. They told me for the night, see if you can go somewhere, let the heat cool down. All right, no problem. I go to Augusta's house. And she followed.
Just a second. When you went to Augusta's house, were you high?
No.
When did you get high?
Probably the night before, because I was there maybe 2 nights.
Go ahead.
And then they told me to go somewhere for the night. I said, all right, I think I'm going to go to the lady that offered me the place. So I go to Augusta's, hey, look, this lady's causing me some drama over there. Can I spend the night over here? She followed me to that house after she wrote on the police report that she was terrified for her life. Even the police officer told me himself, boy, if she's so scared, why she followed you? Lies, more lies than false, whatever she did. So when she showed up at Augusta's house, she said, this lady's over here causing you problems, stirring up trouble. I can't deal with this. So I went back to her property, spend the night, no problem. Morning came.
Even though the police told you not to go?
Yeah, they told me if that doesn't work out, though, you have no choice. Come back, no problem.
They didn't tell that to you at all.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Edgar Felicia says his former landlord, Karen Cass, owes for falsely charging him with assault and battery. Karen claims Edgar broke into her home and attacked her.
Police don't say that.
No, they know because...
Police don't say that. They say you better let things cool off for a night and come back tomorrow.
That's true, but if you don't have no other place to go...
They didn't say that to you.
Well, all due respect, I was there.
No,
I know what
I'm
they
telling
told
you,
me.
I've been around a block longer than you've been born. The police never told you should come back if it didn't work out with Augusta.
They told me to find somewhere else to stay for the night.
That's right. That's
And
what
if
they
that
told you.
and if that didn't go well, to come back, okay, no problem.
Oh.
So I come back and I sleep, I'm just telling you what they told me. I mean, you know what I mean? So I go to sleep and I wake up the next morning late to work. I got fired because there's drama with her. I go to Publix to get me a little Aunt Jemima breakfast, and right when I'm coming into the trailer to open the door, she had it with the chain. Boom. That's when I started recording, which I have here the recording of what she's talking about, that I came in the house. And the whole recording shows I didn't even get through that door.
How did you record that?
On my camera phone. I had a camcorder on my phone. I said that was the only option I had. I had no witnesses around me. I already seen where this was going to go.
So why did you go back there?
What, that morning?
Yeah.
Because that's where I lived. That's where I lived. They told me, if you can't find nowhere to go, just go back. And when I went to work, I came home. She had all this locked up in the house.
So what did you do?
So then I just started recording. And she's on the phone talking to her boyfriend. Turns out her boyfriend called the cops. The cops come. When the cops come, they tell her, so what happened? She's saying, oh, I was banging in the door, whatever. And I've seen my mom get beat for 15 years, and I'd be darned I ever put my hands on a woman. Sure, I have drug-related cases in my past, but I have never had anything violent. I mean, I weigh 150 pounds soaking wet. I'm not a threat to nobody, you know? And for her to accuse me of something that I did not do, and my dad had to send me bail money from New York. I spent my birthday in jail. I lost my job. And to add...
Do you think that none of that had to do with the fact that you were using cocaine?
Nah, because that was like 2 days before.
Listen to me. If you used cocaine 2 days before, you used it 2 days before that, and 2 days before that.
Nah.
So you just used it once in anticipation of your birthday? Is that what you're telling me?
It was a get-together at her friend's house, so, I mean, they had it there, and it was just a little social, so we did it. So then later on, when I went back to the house, that's when she had all my stuff
How many times have you been arrested for possession of drugs? I don't want to say.
I believe twice.
Background check.
99 and 04.
Could it have been more than twice?
Not that I remember. Shouldn't be.
Well, you would know how many times you were arrested for drugs.
Twice. 99 and 04.
Now I'll take a look at the rap sheet.
7 times. Thank you.
Well, here's the 99 possession. They stop you on traffic violations, right?
Like tickets?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had a couple tickets.
Charge 1 was a non-moving traffic violation, but charge 2 was cocaine possession on the same date. That was 2004.
Yeah, that was, a matter of fact, Christmas Eve, I believe.
Right. You had an arrest in 2005.
Yeah, I think. I mean, what's
Pled
it
guilty?
for? And as you're looking at that report, I know you don't see anything violent in there.
Nothing violent. I see a trespass only.
Right. So that's, you know, it's out of my character. Besides the fact I see my mom get beat all my life, so.
I'd like to see your film. And then I'd like to see your complaint. The complaint that you lodged against him.
Oh, yeah, I have it right here, man.
That's the porch there. This is the morning I'm coming back from Publix. Boom, there's a chain.
What are you doing? I can come in the house. I have keys to the house. Don't start when you use the microwave.
You're allowed in the house. I told you you're only staying on the porch.
No, how about you use the bathroom, lady?
You're not.
Take a shower, lady.
You're not supposed to be in the bathroom. They said
I'm not supposed to be in the bathroom?
on the porch, Edgar.
That's last night for you guys.
Get the out of my face.
I can't just stay on the porch. I got keys to the trailer, lady. You can't just put a chain on it and me not take a shower.
You're not allowed in this
Well,
house.
then you gotta put something in there for me to cook it and blanket myself in bath. No, whatever. I just went. Bro, that was just for last night.
Oh, and did they tell you just for last night?
Yes, I asked her, because I told her, look at the chain she put. Now, what am I supposed to do? She goes, well, just go outside of anything for tonight, but tomorrow's okay. They never said I'm supposed to be in the house, you dimwit. They never said you're supposed to be in the house. I can come in the house and use the utilities I'm supposed to. Then why am I paying you rent for? You know what I mean? Do you want me to call so I can use the microwave over here? I'll call him, don't worry about it, I got the number.
There's only part of the tape. He did get in the house.
How did he get in the house?
He broke the chain. It's on the police report, Your Honor.
You did swear under oath, right? Yeah.
I hit speed dial on my boyfriend's phone because I was hysterical, and my boyfriend called the cops. It's a very small town. The next thing I knew, there were 4 cops. What he's not telling you is the night before, he had pushed me and tore the phone out of the wall, which he admits in the deposition and in the police report.
Can I see the police
Yes,
report,
ma'am.
please?
There were 2 incidences before that.
No, no, let me see the police report. Would you please, I must be missing it, would you give this back to Ms. Cass? Would you please show me where he admits that he pulled the phone out of the wall?
Yeah, it's in the...
Just show me, you say that in the police report he admitted that he tore the phone out of the wall. Show me in the police report where he admits tearing the phone out of the wall. That would be a violent act, would it not, Mr. Felice? Ripping the phone out of the wall would be a violent act.
Yes, ripping the phone off the wall.
Okay, and you...
But unplugging a charger would not. There was no ripping. Unplugged.
Shh. Well, whether you pulled the phone out of the wall, sir, or you pulled the charger out of the wall so that she could not get to the police is irrelevant. Either way, your purpose was to prevent her from calling the police.
My purpose? Well, they came over that night.
Your purpose was to prevent her from calling the police. Otherwise, would you kindly tell me what was the reason that you pulled the charger out of the wall? Were you trying to bake pancakes?
No, I was trying to give her a second to think about what she was doing.
You were trying to prevent her from calling the police.
To make a false report, yes. Because everything she did after that was false. She said I tried to kick in the door. She said I cornered it in the room. I mean...
It's over. You're not going to win the lottery here.
Nah.
It's finished.
I'm not looking for the lottery.
It's finished. First of all, you are not allowed to rent the porch on your trailer. It is an illegal thing that you're doing. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand that? And you can't take money from him and then decide that he's too much trouble. Too much trouble right in the middle of his month. Because he paid you by the month or by the week?
He paid me by the week, and he was advertised as a roommate.
If he's a roommate, then he has kitchen privileges.
Correct, but that night the police said to stay out of the house until I went to the state's attorney's office the next day, which I got.
No, they gave him a cooling off night. That's what they do. They give him a cooling off night. The police do not have the power to evict him. They have the power to say to somebody when they get a call of alleged domestic violence, look, I don't see anything terrible going on here. Go take a walk. Cool off tonight. Things will look better in the morning. That's what the police will do. You do not have the right, after taking money from him, to lock him out. When you say he's a roommate, you didn't even...
Ma'am, there's no locks on the door. He was never locked out.
Well, he was locked out because there was a chain on the door.
That's my house, but they told me until we go to the state's attorney's office in the morning, I have an injunction, a restraining order. They said till I go to the state's attorney's office at 9 in the morning, he's not allowed.
Are you telling me that you got a restraining order between the time he left the night before and the time he came back in the morning? Of course not. You didn't. It's over. Move on with it. You did, in fact, commit a violent act. You prevented her from calling the police, which is what she wanted to do because she felt threatened. And you prevented her from calling the police by pulling her phone charger. Evidently, she doesn't have a phone that actually plugs in. She uses a portable phone that's charged into the wall. It's over. Forget about it. Finished. Both of you. Now that it's in my hands, you've filed a civil case. You had a lawyer. You had a lawyer. You all both spent all kinds of money. Finished. It's over. Forget it.
That's what I've been... I mean, this has been a year and something.
It's been a year. Your case is dismissed.
I have
it's been a year.
$4,000 in attorney fees.
I don't care. It's over. Finished. You both behaved inappropriately. He did, and you did, because there was probably a little bit of what he said that was true. That you wanted him out, that you exaggerated a little bit once it became testy. There's no question in my mind, Ms. Cass, that that's what you did. But he provoked it. He can't come home high on cocaine. He doesn't even know what he's doing if he's high on cocaine. Do you understand, sir? Goodbye.
I wasn't high when I came home.
Parties are excused. You may stop. Yeah, this is case number 499 on the calendar in the matter of Carrigan versus Carrigan.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Mr. Carrigan, the defendant is your sister.
Yes.
Which one is the sister?
This one.
Who are you?
I'm her daughter.
Sit down. There came a time when you and your sister were living together in a house. Month and year that you moved in together in this house.
It was September of 2007.
Okay. Now, prior to that, according to Mr. Carrigan, you had purchased a handgun from your sister for $250. Then there came a time, subsequent to September of 2007, you're going to tell me the date, that you and the defendant had an altercation in the house. Police were called. Police confiscated the gun.
Yes.
Your sister says it's her gun. You say it's your gun. You paid for it. She was supposed to change the registration, sort of never got around to it. So the first thing I'm going to deal with is this gun. When did you purchase it?
I went up to Vancouver, Washington, and visited her.
Just give me a date.
Probably in November of '05.
And you had the gun unregistered since November of '05?
Yes.
And the police now have it?
Yes.
That's too bad. Right?
Yeah.
Perfect. You don't expect to get help from me in that area, do you?
Not at all.
So you don't get your money back and you don't get the gun back. Somebody gives you a handgun. This is not a little teeny handgun. This is a serious handgun. According to you, it's a Glock?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, in 4 years' time that you have it, it should have been registered. And the fact that it wasn't registered, you get no help from me. So the police now have the gun?
Yeah.
Perfect. It's where it belongs.
She was living out of state. I went up to see her.
I don't care.
Yeah.
You're a grown man. Yeah. In your jurisdiction, is the gun supposed to be registered?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she had asked me to take the gun because
I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care what the reason is. You live in a jurisdiction where you're supposed to register handguns. You had the gun for 4 years, unregistered. You don't come to court to ask them to help to get your gun back.
Yeah.
That was your responsibility. All right. So that takes care of gun, over. Now, let's take care of rent. You moved out in November.
Yes, ma'am. We moved out because of the escalation of violence that he was displaying.
You didn't want to live there anymore. You moved out in November.
Thanksgiving Day.
And you paid rent for November.
Yes, ma'am.
What rent do you want?
Well, our agreement was that we would give each other a 60-day notice.
When did you make that agreement?
When we moved in. And
is that right?
First it was 90 days, then it was 60 days, then it went back to 90, then it went back to 60. He kept changing it. So it was difficult to determine.
Is it at least 30?
Yes. We had notified him in September that we would be moving out within the next couple months.
That's not true.
Well, tell me when that conversation took place, Ms. Carrigan.
I don't remember exactly what date, but it became very apparent in September that we had to move on.
When did you tell your brother that you were, in fact, moving out? In September, it became apparent. Apparent is not a contract.
Well, I told him in September, we're moving out within the next couple of months.
No, she
That's
didn't.
not an answer.
And
no, that's no, Ms. Corrigan. That's not giving him notice that you're moving out within the next couple of months.
2 weeks before the incident where I had to call the police, I told them, him and his wife, that if there are any further incidents of violence or display of rage, that we would move out immediately.
Okay. So describe to me what happened on the 26th of November.
It was actually the Sunday before that we decided that we had to get out immediately.
Well, tell me what happened, because that's germane, because otherwise you are responsible for December's rent.
He and his wife were asking me what day I was moving out. I didn't know exactly what day I was moving out. So I was unable to answer their question.
Just a second. They said to you, what day are you moving out? And you answered what?
I said, I don't know. I'll know in the next few days. That was my answer.
Okay, I don't know. I'll know in the next few days.
Yes.
Did you tell them what month you would be moving out?
I did not.
Why not?
Because I didn't know exactly what day I was going to be moving out.
I didn't say day, Miss Corrigan. If you said, I don't know what day, but I'll be moving out in November, or I'll be moving out in December, that at least gives them some indication of when they have to start to look for someone else to take over part of the rent, if they need somebody else to take over part of the rent, because I assume you were there because you were paying rent.
Yes, we were paying
So why didn't
rent.
you tell them, I'm moving out in November? I don't know what date.
I was upset, and I didn't want to go into...
That's right. So you didn't give him an answer.
Correct.
So you didn't give him an answer.
I didn't give him an answer that he wanted.
No, you didn't give him an answer because you were upset.
I was feeling cornered because in several occasions before that...
I don't care before that. He and his wife said to you, when are you moving out? Just give me a date. And you said, I can't give you a date because I don't know now. When you, in fact, knew you were moving out in November. So you chose not to do that. Go ahead. I'm listening.
So he didn't like that I wasn't going to give him a specific date because I didn't know.
Just tell me what he said to you and what you said to him. Not that he didn't like. I don't want to hear he didn't like.
Okay. He was getting upset, more and more upset. And I said, you know, this is not a time to continue this conversation. I'm going to go into my room.
What did he say to you?
I don't remember exactly what he was saying to me.
I just was asking her when she was going to move out.
Well, he was
Just
yelling at me.
Don't speak. You were asking her when she was moving out. She said to you, I don't know when I'm moving out. I can't give you a date. Then you said to her what?
I said, well, we need to know so we can make arrangements ourselves.
Okay, and she said to you what?
I don't have to answer you. I don't have to talk to you.
And then?
And then she went into her room and shut the door.
And then?
That's when I took the picture and broke the picture.
So you took a picture.
Out of pure frustration.
And you broke it.
Yes.
Okay, well, that's part of what she's suing for. So that you know you're responsible for.
I don't feel like I am.
Well, listen, you want to talk about your feelings, go someplace else. I don't care about your feelings.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Robert Carrigan says his sister Deborah Carrigan and her daughter Rachel Lopez owe for rent, bills, and the value of a gun. The defendants are countersuing for the return of their security deposit and destruction of property.
Okay, then what happened?
That's when I called the landlord and gave him a 30-day notice. But I had called him on November 1st and given him a 60-day notice because I'd been home from the hospital a couple weeks and I figured I'd be well enough to move by January.
What was wrong with you?
I had open heart surgery on October 8th.
So you gave the landlord 30 days notice?
Yeah, I gave him a 60-day notice on the 1st of November, and then they started giving me problems about paying the utility bills.
They had paid you for November?
No, they never paid me for the November bills.
Your Honor, we weren't giving him problems about paying the bills. I wanted to see copies of the bills.
Just 1 second. So do you have those bills?
Yeah.
Can I see them, please? And then I'll show them to her.
Here you go. I have this broke
What is
down.
this?
That's for getting the carpets cleaned after we moved out.
We had cleaned the carpets 3 months before we moved out.
But we had 3 dogs that...
I don't care whether, just, I'm not there yet.
Okay.
Would you show her the bills, please?
We had also...
Shh. Those are the bills. Look at them. What is her share of the utilities?
It came to $299.34.
And what was her share of the rent for December?
The rent is $330 each for them.
Are you suing her?
Yes.
Stand up. Did you pay your rent for December?
No. We did not live there in December.
You don't have to live there in December. Mother had an agreement. Did you have an agreement to give him notice too?
In September, we gave them notice saying that we would be gone.
No, she didn't.
No, you didn't. I find that you did not. I find that the statement, "we'll be moving out within a couple of months," is not giving them notice. So far, you owe him $959. That's for your share of the utilities and December's rent for the two of you.
Hey, he also...
Now, you have a counterclaim. Your
Yes.
counterclaim is for the value of the picture.
Yes.
That he owes you. How much
Yes.
was the photograph?
I
Reframe
went
it.
and had an estimate done, what it would cost to restore this picture.
And reframe it.
And the estimate just for the picture is $269.38.
Let me see it, please.
And then I have 3 different price ranges of frames ranging from like $35 to $80 to replace the frame.
Can I see the photograph, please? Oh, it's a great picture. Okay. We have to pay for that, sir. All right. Your counterclaim was for the value of the picture and the return of your security deposit. You had a security deposit of $900?
That is
And
correct.
he had a security deposit of $900. And you moved out when?
On December 23rd.
How much did you get back from the landlord?
We didn't get anything back because there was a redwood...
Just a second. I just want to know if you got anything back.
No.
Do you have a statement from the landlord that indicates that you're not getting anything back?
Yes.
I'd like to see it, please.
Here it is.
How many dogs did you have?
I have 2 dogs.
What kind?
I have a Labrador Retriever and then a mix. He's about 30 pounds.
And you?
I have an Australian Shepherd.
This is excessive traffic and chewing of the redwood railings.
It was his dog that did the chewing.
Okay, very good. You don't get your security deposit back. It costs more than that to fix that and to clean the carpets, according to the bills that are there. Okay. Your sister owes you $659. I have given you credit for the photograph restoration and framing. Clear?
Yes.
That's all. Step out.
All right, is that excused? You may step out.
He was displaying escalating fits of violence.
It was actually pure frustration at the fact that she wouldn't give me a straight answer.
We had to get out of there.
I do not consider him family anymore.
I'm done with him.
It's over.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of loss versus loss. Step forward, please.
Deborah Loss is suing her son, 25-year-old Michael Loss, for loans to pay off debt and to make his car insurance payments.
This is your son.
Yes.
How many children do you have, Mrs. Loss?
I have 2.
How old is this one?
He's 25.
And your other one?
29.
Does your 29-year-old live at home?
No. He's
On his
married.
own?
Yes.
Married on his own.
Yes. 2 children.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Loss?
I'm a manager of a restaurant.
For how long?
Going on 3.5 years.
Why does your mother take care of your son?
Why? Mostly because she chooses to. I mean, he wants to go and spend time with her, and she enjoys it. I mean,
What I'm asking you is how come he doesn't live with you?
well, he does. I mean, it's a back and forth, you know what I mean? Like, he stays with me, and then he'll go there sometimes on the weekend whenever she's out of school. And
Who takes care of him when you're at the restaurant?
my girlfriend,
Is that right?
or my mother,
And where is the child's mother?
she's at home.
So you live with the child's mother,
Yes,
but your mother takes care of him a good deal of the time.
yes,
You advanced your son some money on condition that he would pay you back.
Yes.
I believe that was for insurance.
Yes.
How much did you advance him?
I paid a total of $1,344.
Was this car insurance?
Yes, ma'am.
Did your mother pay for your car insurance for you?
yes, she did.
That's what you seem to indicate in your answer, that you did in fact borrow this money from your mother, but you don't have to return it because she lost an inheritance that was rightfully yours.
Yes.
All right. When you initially borrowed this money from your mother, did you ever tell her that you would pay her the money back?
Yes, I did.
When did you tell her that you would pay her the money back?
I told her that I would give her money at the beginning of every month.
For the insurance?
Yes.
When did you change your mind?
I decided that I needed this money that she had lost during her bankruptcy, and I didn't feel that I should be entitled to pay it back.
Ms. Loss?
Yes.
How often does your grandson stay with you?
He stays with me just about every weekend, sometimes a couple days during the week, quite often.
So you enjoy having your grandson around?
I love it.
Good. Okay, tell me about this inheritance, sir.
Okay, it was actually through my grandmother. She gave this money to my mother, and my mother had it in her name. And it was, I'm not exactly sure the exact amount. I think it was around about a $12,000 to $13,000, which was supposed to be split evenly for tuition for school between me and my brother, which my grandmother had explained to me.
How long ago was this?
It was probably 9 years ago, maybe 8, I don't know.
Okay, go ahead.
And that's just basically all that I really ever knew about it. And then my mother had to file bankruptcy due to her last marriage. And it was like a down spiral for her as far as she had to go into debt. Well, during that bankruptcy, she lost everything. She lost all the tuition money for me and my brother, her van, and a few other things.
Mm-hmm.
And it upset me, you know what I mean? Because I was planning on going to college. But as of right now, I've got a son, and I've been trying to work to do better. But
Who did you live with when you were growing up?
my mother,
Did she work?
yes, she did.
What kind of work did she do?
She was a school teacher, and plus she even worked a second-time job after she got out of school.
Is there any particular reason why her finances became difficult?
Due to her ex-husband's medical condition.
What was the nature of his medical condition?
He had epilepsy and had a bunch of hospital bills, which drove my mother into debt.
So there were medical bills that she was responsible for because he was her husband.
Right.
And?
Honestly, I don't think that she should have allowed for it to continue. And otherwise, I don't think I would have had to have lost that tuition money, you know what I mean, I was entitled to.
Mr. Loss, if you had said to your mother a year and a half ago, I'd like you to pay for my insurance on my truck or my car because I really can't afford to pay it, and you really owe me that money anyway because I think, wrongly, I will tell you, but I think that since you lost Grandma's money that I was really supposed to have, you didn't lose it gambling or drinking. I mean, she was taking care of her responsibilities and at the same time taking care of her 2 sons. But if you had said that to her right up front, I would say, and if your mother continued to give you this money, then you would write. But that's not what happened, Mr. Loss. What happened was you said to your mother, I'll pay you each month And then you said, well, I really shouldn't have to pay her back. Why shouldn't I have to pay her back? Well, maybe because the sky is blue, maybe because it's Tuesday, maybe because it's Friday. Maybe because 9 years ago, she lost my grandmother's money that I was supposed to have. What if she didn't have money to feed you? Do you think she should have used grandma's money? Of course. If your grandmother wanted you to have the money, sir, she would have put the money in trust for your first name?
Michael.
Michael Loss. And your brother?
He came to me asking for a loan of $1,500. The reason why I gave him the loan of $1,500 was that he had given me $400 of his stimulus check towards his insurance. So I felt, since he was trying to make an attempt to pay back some monies, that I would go ahead and take out the $1,500.
Did he say anything about using this inheritance money as a write-off?
No.
No. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
What'd you need the $1,500 for?
To catch up on my cell phone bill, and I had a power bill that was high too.
See what happens even though you work? Sometimes you work, you don't make enough money. Just like your mother. She worked, she was a school teacher according to you, had the second job, but then all of a sudden her husband got sick. She had hospital bills, so with best intentions and working very hard, she still couldn't deal with it, right?
Right. That's correct, man.
Aren't you sorry you're here?
Am I sorry?
Yeah.
No.
You should be. $2,844. That's what you owe your mother and an apology.
You guys have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats.
You're her father?
Yes, ma'am.
You own the car, I assume.
It's a lease car. I co-signed with Angela.
Okay, but you don't know anything about this, other than what she told you.
Yes,
Is
ma'am.
that right? You weren't there during the course of this incident.
No, I was not.
Why don't you have a seat? Miss Black, the defendant was your boyfriend.
Yes.
And according to you, in June of this year, you were at a party, and you claimed that he damaged your car. That's what you're suing for.
Right.
He acknowledges that at this party, or shortly after the party, he smashed out the windshield on your car, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Your defense to that is that you believe her insurance paid for it.
I believe so. Yep.
And you have a counterclaim.
Yes.
Which I will get to in a minute. But let me ask you a couple of questions first. Were you her boyfriend in June of 2000?
Yeah.
You went to this party together?
Yes.
She picked you up in her car?
Yes, ma'am.
And had you been going out steadily until that point?
On and off for about 2 years.
So why don't you tell me what happened at this party in June? Because you claim that there is substantially more damage than the windshield that he did to the car.
We were leaving Winona, and I wanted to leave early. He didn't want to, so we started fighting at the party. Then we were driving in the car, and he was screaming and yelling. While I was driving, he was punching out the windows. He punched it probably about 30 times. The rearview mirror fell off. He was punching the dash. There's a big dent in the airbag on the dash. Punched the glove box. That's broken. And it was about a 45-minute drive. He did it the whole way home, was yelling and screaming. So Justin finally passed out in the car. We got to his house, and I ran in and got his other roommate while he was sleeping in the car. And his roommate came out. Me and him came out together. As we came out, Justin was standing up, urinating in my car, kicking my car doors. And that's when Joey came out and told him to get out of there, and then he just started yelling at me, screaming at me, calling me every other name. And then he said, "See you later." I left. I went home.
But then you went to another party with him.
No.
Yes, we did.
We went later that night. My friend Brianna came over and got me, and we went to the street dance, Rochester street dance. He was there. We didn't go together. Me and Brianna went together.
Had you discussed going to that party with him?
I knew that they were all going, him and his roommates. Everybody in Rochester goes. It's everybody. It's just a yearly thing.
I went home with her that night after that.
So you went to this Rochester street dance, and you met up with him. And what happened when you met up with him?
He was a little bit more calmed down. He said he was sorry. He was going to pay for my damages. And he said he wanted to talk. So we left the street dance together, went to my house. We got to my house, and I told him that he was still too drunk. I didn't want to talk to him at that time. I wanted to wait till the next day. He still was yelling and screaming.
You mean you couldn't tell that he was drunk when you met up with him at the dance?
You know, I should have, but no, I couldn't. He was
Yes.
at the
Because she
dance.
was drunk, too.
Shh. I'm going to get to you in a minute. So you exercised a lot of bad judgment.
Right. Yes.
Because if he's drunk as a skunk a couple of hours before, you don't put him in your car again.
Right.
Did you drive a different car or the same car?
The same car.
With a busted out windshield?
Yeah, another mistake.
Were your parents home?
No, I didn't live with my parents. So then after that, when we went back from the street dance at my house, it was probably around midnight, 1 o'clock, he was yelling at me and screaming when we got home, so I locked him out of my bedroom door. He sat outside. That's when he was punching my walls, said that he was going to kill me, and he wanted to talk to me. I wouldn't let him in. I just let him out there still pounding. He passed out on the floor. The next morning I brought him home, and then again he said he was sorry. He was going to fix the damages. And we left it at that. We were fine at that point.
Let's hear it.
We were at the party. We were both been drinking all day. There was a bikini contest. She was in it. And she went to change. We all, Nelson, 2 of my other roommates, we talked to the girl that won the contest. I gave her a hug. Angie seen that. She got mad. We got in an argument. She was yelling at me, hit me. I got reports. She went to detox before. When she hit me, the cops hauled her away. I got that report here, too, if you want to see it.
I do.
Okay. And then, you want that now? Or?
Sure.
Okay.
Is this the only time in April of this year that you've been taken in for drinking?
Yeah.
The only time?
Yeah.
That's not true, Your Honor. She got pulled over, got a DUI, too, and she didn't have her license the whole time she was driving.
No, I did not.
When did you get pulled over for DUI?
That was way before summer, and I was never charged with it, ever.
You were pulled over
I got
for
the
a
police
DUI?
report right here that says she does not have her license, too.
And that was suspended, and I was not aware of that either.
Mr. Bauer, this was probably not a good idea to co-sign a leased car for your daughter. Sit
Yes,
down.
ma'am.
I have pictures of my car also and estimates and receipts of me paying for the windshield myself.
Okay, let me see it.
Pictures of the car. Okay.
It's a new one.
What?
Sorry.
She don't watch the show much, do she? Come on.
You have a receipt for the windshield?
Yep, right in there. After the second page.
$255?
And then the rear mirror was 15, which is on the third page. And then there's one for the glove box in there, which is $635 for the glove box and the airbag.
Well, what's wrong with the glove box and airbag?
He punched the airbag, and they have to replace the whole dash, and he punched the glove box.
Why do they have to replace the whole dash?
Because the airbag, they said the airbag's $635. He ruptured the airbag by punching in the dash.
I did not do that, Your Honor.
No? How'd you break the windshield?
I punched it
How many times did you punch it?
twice,
Maybe 3 times?
maybe 3.
Maybe when you were punching the windshield, your hand accidentally slipped and you hit the dashboard?
I don't believe so.
You don't believe so, but you were pretty drunk.
Yeah.
Good.
Your Honor,
What?
there was blood all over, there was urine from him, the cigarette burns, and the punch dash, and the mirror was punched not 2 or 3 times. Look at the pictures. They were punched about 20 times.
You have some responsibility here. Responsibility is you don't take somebody who is drunk in your car.
I learned my lesson.
Well, the 2 of you drink, and you were probably drinking yourself. You shouldn't have been driving a car in the first place, not with him or without him. Now let's get to your counterclaim, Mr. Dino. You say that in 1999 she stole $4,000 worth of checks of yours.
Checks and furniture and among other things, yes.
You were living together at the time.
Yeah, well, she moved out. She called me one day, it was a Thursday, and she wanted to come get the rest of her things out of the house. I said, that's fine. I said, come get it Saturday, I have to work tomorrow. So she knew that I was going to be at work, so she came there with a bunch of her friends from Winona and took a U-Haul and pretty much cleaned the place out. She took a $1,500 leather couch that we were paying for.
All right, well, this is all in 1999. You did nothing about this in 1999, and you continued to
Yeah.
be her boyfriend.
I got
Listen to me.
reports right here.
Listen to me. You did nothing about this in 1999.
No, because I did not know that until I went to the bank. I did not know that she was writing all these checks out.
Well, when did you go to the bank, sir?
Went to the bank and I filed an affidavit in like the 1st of January.
Just a minute. Are you saying to me that she forged your name to checks?
Yes,
Let me
ma'am.
see.
Right here, and here's
Let me see.
my checks, and these are copies of all the ones that she wrote.
When did you move out of the residence that you were sharing?
December 23rd.
All of these checks were written before December the 23rd.
Yeah, I know, but she moved out November 15th.
These are all before she moved out, sir.
No, they were not, Your Honor.
Yeah. Yeah. There is a discrepancy between your statement and her statement, but there is some credibility that I must lend to her statement because you knew about these checks, according to you, in January of 2000.
Yeah.
And yet you chose to continue, despite the fact that, according to you, she stole $4,000 from you to be her boyfriend in June of 2000.
I know.
So what are you bothering me with this for now?
Because she's trying to claim that I did things to her car that I never did.
Oh, but you did. You broke her windshield.
Yeah, I know that.
And in all probability, while you were breaking her windshield, you pounded her airbag. And you don't remember that because you were drunk. What?
He also did more damage, Your Honor, than just the airbag, in that the police report and the estimates and the pictures show the cigarette burns and the blood and the urine in the car. He did that too.
And what about your daughter's responsibility, sir?
She wasn't urinating in the car. She wasn't
She
punching the
took a
window.
drunk in her car. Not once, but twice the same night.
I'm not for that, Your Honor, but it was her boyfriend. I mean, I'm not for that. I don't like that either. But it was her boyfriend.
You got to get real, sir. You got to get real. She took
What was
a
I
drunk.
supposed to do? I know. What was
Listen
I
to me.
supposed to do?
Not you. I'm not saying you're supposed to do anything. You're
Okay.
supposed to take the car back from her. Listen, you ask, stand up here. What are you supposed to do? You take the car back from your daughter. That's what you do. When she's arrested in April and taken into custody for being intoxicated, so drunk that she couldn't see, by the police, because I have the police report, you say to her, sorry, darling, at your age, I'm not going to lease a car and be co-signer on that car until I'm satisfied that you are put your hand down, responsible enough to drive it. Clearly, you didn't do that. And clearly, what she did was she exercised bad judgment again because the first party she went to, she was drinking. She put in somebody who was probably drinking more into the car. And not only that, but after he had done all of this damage to a car that your name is on, she took him home again. And you say to me, what was she supposed to do? It was her boyfriend? Get real, sir. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $895. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Oh, your counterclaim's dismissed. It's nonsense.
Drinking, partying's our problem, pretty much.
I told her that I would pay for her windshield, and then she ran off to Boston with Matt and a whole bunch of hockey players and everything else, so I never did.
And now the next case.
All parties on Jones versus Darling. Step forward, please.
53-year-old custodian Howard Jones is suing former friend, 42-year-old homemaker Sandra Darling, for money stolen from his safe. Sandra is countersuing for the return of a car and a television.
Mr. Jones, according to your complaint, you befriended the defendant and her children at a time when they were homeless, allowed them to stay in your home for a few days while she was awaiting some money so that she could move into an apartment. And it is your claim that while there, she stole money from a safe.
Yes, Your Honor.
And I believe that you claim it was some $3,700?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Darling says no way, and she has a counterclaim, which we will address in a moment. What makes you think she took your money?
She was the only one in my home at the time, Your Honor, her and her two boys.
How old are her children?
15 and 18, I think, Your Honor.
And what kind of a safe did you have, sir?
It's a small in-home safe, is all I can tell you. About so big.
Does it have a key?
Yes, it has a key and a tumbler to it. The key was kept in my nightstand by my bed. And since I was a bachelor, I had no problem leaving it there and knowing that it was going to be safe.
If you have a safe and it has a key, then you don't leave the key in the same room as the safe, because that defeats the purpose of a safe.
Yes.
You needed the key only after you had fixed the tumbler.
Right, Your Honor.
Did you give Miss Darling the combination to your safe?
No, like I said, it was on the last number, and all you needed to do was go and use the key to open it, go account.
So, not only do you have a tumbler that's a second stopgap for thieves, but you didn't use it.
Yes. I live alone, Your Honor.
No, you don't.
I found out the hard way.
You did, Mr. Jones.
Yes.
Now, did you take his money?
No, I didn't, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Jones, it's very unfortunate when you are rewarded for a kindness by having property missing, but you have to have some proof that this lady stole your money. And the fact that she was there isn't sufficient proof. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Miss Darling, you want to talk about your counterclaim?
Yes. Okay, at the time I met Mr. Jones, I was homeless, living between hotels. My kids was in one place, so he kind of helped me. We came involved with each other. So when I went into the shelter, he would come and pick us up every morning, 7 o'clock, to take my boys back and forth to school. So while the buses...
He was lovely to you.
Yeah, he was. He was a good friend
So tell me
to
about your counterclaim.
Okay, so he bought me a car. After I moved out of the shelter, when he claimed that I went in his safe and took his money, he came and took the car back.
Is the car registered in your name?
The car wasn't registered. We had just got the car on the September the 29th. I moved out of the shelter on
So the car wasn't registered in your name?
In neither name.
Let's talk about what else you're suing him for.
Okay.
After all of his kindness to you.
Okay, my stuff was in storage. And
Yes.
once I moved out, I went back to get my stuff out of storage. My kid's TV was gone.
Right, and there were only 2 keys.
I had one, and he had one.
Right.
Okay.
So you think he came and stole your TV?
Yeah.
Were your sons with you?
No, they were at school.
No, but were your sons with you during this time that your television was in storage?
Yes.
And you had the key?
Yes.
Right? You had a
Yes.
key. Maybe one of your sons took the key, went to storage, took out the TV, and sold it.
No, I don't think
You
so.
don't think so?
No.
Well, that's possible, isn't it, Miss Darling?
No, because we've been struggling ever since
No,
I
just
came
listen
in.
to me. I want you to... It's possible. The same way, Miss Darling, you say, I didn't take his money. He says they were the only ones there. You say he's the only other one with a key. You had a key.
Right, but the...
And your sons had access to your key. Maybe one of your sons took the key and went and took the TV and sold it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You don't think he's lying when you say that money was stolen out of his safe, do you?
I don't know if he was lying.
I don't think he was lying when he says money was stolen out of... Listen to me.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Why would he lie after he was so nice to you and your boys about money being stolen out of his safe?
That's what I wonder, too.
He was very nice to you, and if he's out $3,700...
That don't mean I took it. I wasn't...
No, I understand that. I didn't say that you took it. I didn't say that one of your boys took it, although that's a possibility. What I'm saying is, if he's out all of this money, why would you even think, after he was kind to you, nice to your children, suing him for the cost of the car that he made to you as a gift?
My intentions was not to countersue him.
Perfect. Then we don't have a problem. Your lawsuit, sir, is dismissed, as is your counterclaim. That's
Walker versus Stubbs. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
I see a whole bunch of ladies here, but no men. Where is he?
I tried to talk him into coming, but he was too embarrassed to be on TV with this matter. Yes.
They caused the trouble.
Mm-hmm. This is true.
And they just drop it and walk away. So, ladies, let's us have a little talk.
Yes.
You want me to
Miss-
leave?
No, you can stay, Bert. You're close enough. You were seeing the defendant's husband.
Right. Yes.
And you claimed at the time you started to see him, you didn't know he was married. You
Exactly.
found out he was married. Your claim is that even when you broke up with him, or he broke up with you, whatever it was, that his wife, the defendant, vandalized your property, caused you great stress, was harassing you. She says that it's actually you who were doing the stalking, the harassing, the interfering with her family. So I have a claim and a counterclaim, each in the same amount of money, $1,000. Right?
Right.
And somebody has a protective order. Who has a protective order?
I do.
I'd just like to take a look at that document, please. When did you start to see her husband?
Say 96, September of 96.
And how long did you see him?
For approximately a year.
And you haven't seen him since 1997?
Well, actually, I haven't seen him since like 99. Actually, I've seen him, but not as a relationship. I've seen him. For as him fixing my car, he has a shop. He's a mechanic.
But since 1999, you haven't had a romantic relationship with him?
No.
You telling me the truth?
Yes, I mean, I'm married and everything. I've gotten married and everything, so.
It's over.
Been over.
You have any information?
Yes.
They've been seeing each other since?
She was just trying to convince me that she was still dating him just last month.
How was that?
She was calling my cell phone, and I have my cell phone bill. When she was in the hospital and she was so sick, but she had enough time to call me continuously.
Did you call her for any reason?
Well, actually, she called me, and she came to my house and left a letter at my house on the 12th of April. This is how this whole thing started. She came to my house, left this letter right here, which is the same date that she broke the window, which is the pictures right here.
Just a second, just a second. Did you send this letter
I
to her?
did.
Could we talk for a minute?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Like grown-up gals. You have a husband?
Mm-hmm.
He's your problem.
Mm-hmm.
You want to have anything to do with her husband?
No.
You believe that?
Well, I believe it now.
Do you have children?
No, I don't. I have custody of my niece, though.
How old is she?
9 years old.
How long have you had custody of her?
About like the last 6 years. She's been with me for about 6 years.
And you have a husband?
Yes.
How long are you married?
Since August 26th of 2000.
Is he a nice man?
Very.
What kind of work does he do?
In the oil refinery, the oil field.
And do you work?
No, I don't.
So you stay home and take care of your niece?
Exactly.
Any reason you want to have grief with this lady?
Well, no, I don't have a problem with her.
How old are you?
32.
Any reason why you should want to have grief with this lady? Or grief in your life?
No, but what I'm saying is,
the answer
can I
is
explain
no.
myself?
The answer is no.
Okay.
Right? You don't want to have any grief in your life, right?
No, I don't.
You have children?
Yes, I do.
How long have you been married?
I've been married 6 years.
Does your husband work?
Yes, he does.
What kind of work does he do?
He's a mechanic.
You have to find someplace else, by the way, to have your car fixed. I know you haven't been back there in a while. Find someplace else. There are lots of mechanics.
No problem, you're right.
Because that just starts trouble. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You don't want to have any further dealings with her, do you?
Never did.
So why don't we come together, ladies, and come to terms with the fact that all of this trouble started because a guy was cheating on his wife, using 2 women at the same time. Because he didn't tell you he was married, right?
No, he didn't.
That's what you told me. And I'm sure he didn't tell you he was fooling around.
Can I say something?
Yes.
When he was cheating with her and she found out he was married, she thought she should help him to destroy his marriage, and she started calling my job to tell me what color underwear my husband has on as if I didn't wash them.
Just a minute. Let me tell you something. He was the user.
Mm-hmm.
Because if he conned her into thinking he was available, he allowed her emotions to run full circle. And all of a sudden, she finds out he's married. It's much easier to take things out on each other than it is to take things out on the person who's responsible, and that's the guy who was afraid to come to court today, right?
Right.
Why should you two ladies be dumb enough to suffer for what he did, which is really what you've been doing to each other? Both of you have been doing it to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Both of you. And that's ridiculous. He caused the trouble. You know, he makes a mess and he walks away, leaving 2 ladies to fight over him, and he's probably enjoying it, and he's probably not worth it. Very few of them are.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Natalie Walker says her ex-boyfriend's wife, Deshaun Stubbs, broke her living room window with a bottle of Snapple. Natalie also claims Deshaun slashed her tires and wrote defamatory statements on her garage door.
Yeah, what do you want? Tell me.
Yes, I would like to just say, that's really not the problem, wanting him or nothing, or bothering her or nothing like this. My problem is, this Easter I was in the hospital, and she came up to the hospital 2 days in a row, you know, to confront me and fight me. We had a fight. I have to report everything at the hospital. This is the problem I'm having with her coming to where I am, you know what I'm saying, as a patient in a hospital and create problems for me.
I read that, and I read that you went to the hospital twice. She was in the hospital.
She was. And I did not assault her, and if I did, I would have been arrested.
Why did you go to the hospital?
She asked me to, and here's my phone bill to prove it. She was calling me, and she was so sick, but yet she wasn't too sick to call me on 439, 442, 518, 519.
Why, just a minute, why did you call her house?
No, her cell phone after she called me. I never called her house. No, I didn't.
Why did you call her cell phone?
Because she had previously called me, and I star 69'd her back. That's how I called her back.
What did you say when you got her on the phone?
I called her and I asked her, I said, why would you call me every year on my birthday like this to create a problem for me? I told you I wasn't messing with your husband. We were just arguing like that over the phone.
Tell me what else was said.
Then she hung up, and then she called me back, and she was like, well, I don't want to cuss. Well, like she said, like I told you, I'm going to make sure you don't mess with my husband, and this is what I'm going to do to you. I'm going to come. I know where you at. You know I can find where you are.
How many times did you call her on her cell phone that day?
Twice.
What'd you call
her
the second time for?
Well, because she hung up. She hung up in my face while we were arguing after she said something.
So what'd you call her back for?
To make my point.
So what was your point that you made to her?
That I wasn't messing with her husband, and I'm very tired of her coming around every so often.
You told her that already?
That was the point I was steadily making.
So then she comes up to the hospital?
Yes.
And she came up to the hospital twice?
Yes,
to
2
see
days.
you. And the second time you had her arrested?
No. Well, no, both, they just wrote it out. They didn't arrest her neither time. They escorted her out one night, and then the other night, it's all in this report. What
Fine.
happened. So if you would like to see it.
No. The second time she came up, she also says it was a mistake. It was the mistake to go to the hospital to see her the first time, right?
It was a mistake.
And it was a mistake to go to see her the second time.
It was she baited me there.
I don't care whether she baited you there. Come on. It was a mistake.
It was a mistake.
You got how many children?
I have 3 stepkids and a child me and my husband have together, but we take care of all 4 kids.
So you have 4 children to take care of. You got better things to do than to go to the hospital to visit somebody that you can't stand. Look, as a result of that, there's an order of protection against you.
I filed one against her as well.
But I don't have it.
Well, that's because I just filed today.
Well, but you filed today. Listen to me.
She will
She
get it.
has one
And she'll
against
get it.
you.
She'll get
Order
hers.
of protection. You have to stay 100 yards, 100 feet, 100 miles away from her. You're not supposed to go near her at all.
Which was violated yesterday.
I did not come within no 100 yards of you.
Yesterday, she brought 2 of her friends to my house. They were at my house when I got home, and I was going home to take these pictures to bring to you of my window, so I had a camera with me.
Let me see the window pictures.
And so what I did was, while they tried to run off while I was calling the police, I took a picture of them leaving down the alley because I had the camera. And I got an incident report number that they took yesterday.
That would not be a picture of me,
Can
Your
you give
Honor.
her that? Because this is the report
And that's not
number.
a picture of me. And I also have a picture
Because
of her
you was
window.
in the car, that's why.
Yeah, but I wasn't
You have a picture of a broken window here. When was your window broken?
On the 12th of April. The same time she dropped the letter off.
Okay. Did you see her break the window?
Yes, I was there because I have bars all around, and I have a bar door. I can open my door without going out and see her and everything, the way my house
How did she
is.
break the window?
With a Snapple bottle, Snapple juice bottle. She threw it as she was leaving or whatever. She threw it into the window.
After she put the note in your mailbox?
Yeah, she came in the yard, put the note, banged on the door, of course. I yelled to her that I wasn't going to come out, be trying to fight with her. And she said what she had to say, cussed and did what she had to do, got in her car and pulled to the side because you see my gate right there next to the alley and just threw it. That's that side window by the alley right there.
You have a bill for the window?
Yes. Well, I have an estimate. Yes, I do.
I'd like to see an estimate for the window.
This for the window and the actual tires that she put on the flat.
You'll tell me about that in a minute.
Tell you about that?
In a minute.
Oh,
I want to see the estimate from... Right. Now tell me about the tires.
Okay, here's the picture, the estimate, and everything about that. Wow, this was like right after Valentine's, right?
What year?
After this year. She came over once again, banging on the door, yelling, talking about come outside, what she would do to me. I tells her once again I'm not coming outside, so she takes a knife. This car was right here in front of the house, and just stabbed the tires.
You have a police report on that?
Well, actually, this right here, on the 12th, I just made a report. It's just an incident report. I don't have like this right here. This was from '99 when she ran into my garage.
I don't want to see that.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. God. I also want you to see this, Judge Judy.
She is lying.
See what?
This is just a report from the hospital and from my niece who was actually there.
Let me see.
When we, I want you to see
When
that.
I beat her up.
There you go.
What you got?
What kind of conversations did you have in the hospital? First time she came.
On Saturday, when she approached me, we was at the nurse station, she said, I want to know what my husband brought you for your birthday, if you got anything. And I'm like, what? How you gonna come to the hospital and ask me about what your husband got me for my birthday? And so she started cussing. She said, because that's my husband, and I told you to stop messing with my husband, and we got to verbally arguing, and she swung and hit me. This is how my IV came out that particular day, because I had to have surgery to put another one in. And 2 nurses came, the security came. My niece was standing right there with me because I was walking her to the elevator to leave. That's why I was out of my room, period. And they just broke it up. They detained me, put me into the supervisor's room or something, and they just escorted her out. Then that morning
After that incident, I'll get to you in a minute.
Okay.
After that incident, did you call her again that night on her cell phone? Did you call her again?
No, I don't believe I called her that night after that.
You don't remember whether
No,
you
I
called her
honestly
that
don't
night?
think that I called her that night. No, I don't.
Okay, what time of the day did she leave the hospital?
That night, this happened about 9:30 at night.
At night?
Yeah.
Okay, do you have any phone record after 9 o'clock at night?
I
Had
wasn't
she
there at
called you?
9.
What time were you there?
It was like 8 o'clock, 7 or 8. It was in before
7,
visiting
8,
hours
9.
are
Do you have any
after
phone
visiting
record
hours.
after that she called you?
Actually, Your Honor, I turned my phone off and she just left me.
The answer is either yes or
Okay,
no.
no. Okay. I don't have it
Fine.
here.
Fine. Now, the next day she came back. Is that right?
About 10 o'clock Easter morning.
What happened when she came back at 10 o'clock in the morning?
I was at the nurse station, and she approached me and the nurse. The nurse was right there. And she verbally threatened me again. And
What did
said,
she
"When you
say?"
she said, I'm going to find you anywhere you at, and when you get out, I'm going to kick your still. And that's when the nurse immediately called security, so it wasn't no fight or nothing Sunday. Nothing happened. It was just verbal things, and they put her out.
Stop. Between 8 o'clock Saturday evening and 10 o'clock Easter morning, do you have any record of the plaintiff making a telephone call to you?
Yes, I do.
What time?
She called me at 2:27 p.m. and she also called me...
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You didn't understand my
I
question.
didn't. Let me hear it once more.
Then I want you to pay attention.
Okay.
From 8 o'clock Saturday night until 10 a.m. Easter morning, do you have any record that the plaintiff called you?
Yes.
What time?
10:28 a.m.
No.
Oh.
Before 10 o'clock.
Oh, before. She called me at before 10 o'clock. Not before 10, no.
Then she didn't call you to come back to the hospital. You say in your answer that she called you to come back to the hospital, Miss Stubbs.
I'm just confused, Your Honor. She called
Stop
me...
being confused.
She called me on the 14th.
I'm already past the 14th. You left the hospital. You were escorted out of the hospital.
Well, then she called me all the next day.
I want you to pay careful attention to me, madam. You're escorted out of the hospital Saturday night. You come back to the hospital Easter morning. That's clear from the report.
Okay.
And what I asked you is, why
My
did you
phone
come
was
back?
Off.
Your phone was off,
Yes.
so she did not call you.
She did. She left me messages. She left me messages all morning. She called me. Yes, she did.
Oh, well, I don't have those messages.
That's
You have-
because my phone was off.
You have those messages written down?
No, I
You have more-
erased them.
Oh, well, that's too bad. Then I don't believe you.
Your Honor, her number's all on
Do
here.
you
She called me.
You understand what I'm saying to you?
She did call me to come back.
No. And if she did and you went, you shouldn't have. All right, let's hear your counterclaim. 1, 2, 3, mental anguish.
Your Honor, I have my doctor's statements.
I don't read doctor's statements.
Okay, well, she used to call my job with her sexual harassment, you know, and I would have to leave my job at times. If she had a date with my husband, you know, being the other woman, she would call me, you know, and rub my nose in
We're
at
talking
work.
about 2 years ago.
No, we are talking about recent. She's trying to convince me, and she was trying to convince me when she was in the hospital that she was still seeing my husband. She was saying that he is doing all kind of sexual things to her, and that is what she was trying to convince me while she was in the hospital.
Let me tell you something, Miss Stubbs. When you write a letter to her that says, this time of year I usually have problems out of you by now. Could this be that I'm finally rid of you? That you wrote to her on 4/12/01.
Yes.
Which suggests to me that for a long period of time, you had not heard from her. You hadn't heard from her for a long time. What'd you start up with her again for? Because you had no reason to start up with her. And then you write something else. I bet you didn't get any something for your birthday. This time, did you? So you were giving her a little bit of a dig that she didn't have your husband for her birthday this time. You're a troublemaker. Get over it. Your counterclaims dismissed. I believe that she slashed your tires. I believe that she broke your window. And I believe she came to the hospital to harass you. You're suing her for $1,000, and I'm going to grant you judgment for $1,000. But I'm telling you this, I tried to start out this case very clearly by saying, ladies, if you allow a man to make a fool out of you, you're a bigger fool. And if you allow your husband to make a big fool out of you, then that's what you are, a big fool. Get over it. She doesn't want anything to do with him anymore. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000. That's all.
Case number 195 on the calendar in the matter of Hilson versus Randall. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Ms. Hilson, according to the complaints that I have read, you and the defendant were very good friends, and then you had an argument. And it is your claim that after the argument, she vandalized your car by keying and scratching your car. When did this argument take place?
It started Sunday early evening, around 6.
Sunday, what date?
I'm sorry, July 22nd.
What was the argument about?
The argument was about a little boy, Micah, who is here. The defendant's daughter called me and asked me if I would babysit her mother's ex-boyfriend's son.
Which is this little boy?
Yes.
Shh.
And it was no problem. I said yes. When I woke up, the little boy was at my house. No one said, okay, we're here, the little boy is here, we're leaving. I woke up, he was at my house.
You have children?
I have, yes, 2 sons.
How old are
Joshua,
they?
4 years old, and Malik, 11 years old.
Okay, let me hear, what was the argument about?
Okay, so he stayed at my house and spent the night. No one came to pick him up. No one called to say, we're back, you can bring him. The following day, I was giving them a bath. And Micah had all of these like scratches. It looked like flea bites. I just took it for granted that it was flea bites because the defendant had 11 cats and it had an infestation of fleas in her home. And she was recently evicted for that.
So you assumed it was flea bites?
I assumed it was flea bites. So when he began to scratch and the bumps came and he scratched till one area started bleeding. So I sat him down. I said, wait a minute, this isn't flea bites. This is something else. So I sat him down. I said, Micah, do you have chicken pox? He says, yes. Did your mother know you had it? He said, yes. I said, did Rhea, who's the defendant, did she know? Did her and Kendra know you had it? He says, yes, they put ointment on me. When he said that, I couldn't believe it. First of all, I was shocked. I was afraid for my children. He had slept in the same bed with my 4-year-old. I called Kaiser Hospital to see what could I do. Could I bring them in? Is there anything they can give me? They said, no, just clean your house. Clean your house, wipe everything down. So I tried to call them to say, come and get him now. Why did you do this? I was really upset. I really don't remember everything that I said, but I was upset.
Did you contact the defendant? Did you make contact with her?
No, I kept getting the recording. So after, I guess, an hour or 2, I finally got them on the phone, and they were very nonchalant.
Who's they?
I got Rhea on the phone.
The defendant?
The defendant on the phone.
Okay.
And they were very nonchalant. She was very nonchalant about it.
Tell me what you said to her and what she said to you.
I said, Rhea, why did you let this little boy come over to my house knowing he was infected with chicken pox? She said, well, I didn't know it was chicken pox. She said, Kendra did mention to me the other day, the day before he came to my house. She said, Kendra did bring it to my attention that he had chicken pox, but for some reason, I guess she didn't look into it or whatever. But this little boy is staying at her house in her care.
Okay.
So then I heard the little boy's mother's voice in the background. She screamed out and said, it's not chicken pox, it's measles. You know, okay. So I'm livid. I am livid at that point. And I said, just come and get him now. So what I did is I gave him some clean clothes. I put all the clothes that he had on in a bag, tied them up. I isolated him from my children. I put them, you know, in the living room and had them in the bedroom. And I waited and waited and waited. And she knows that I have to be at work early in the morning. They did not come and get him until around 10:30 that night.
What time had you called them and spoken to her?
It was around 6. Around
6 in the evening?
Mm-hmm.
And they came about 10:30?
About 10:30.
Okay.
And my plan, because I had to pray, I said, okay, I am just going to give her the little boy, give her the bag with his clothes in it, and just shut my door. I have nothing else to say to her. So when she finally came, that's what I did. I walked, when she came, I had him at the door, had the bag in my hand. I handed her the bag and the little boy and said, good night, I have nothing else to say to you. She pushed her way into my house and started cursing, saying, wait, just the whatever. She was just cursing, and I wasn't listening. I just said, just get out of my house. So the phone rang. She said, well, just give me my MF jeans. Just give me my jeans. I said, you're not getting anything.
What jeans is she talking about?
She's talking about a pair of red, blue jeans and a pair of white jeans that she gave me to wear. So when the phone rang and I picked it up, and I said, you're not getting anything, but get out of my house. But when I turned my back, she ran over across my living room, and I bought my son a really nice stereo, my 11-year-old, for Christmas. A really nice stereo, boombox or whatever. She ran over, grabbed that, snatched it out of the wall, broke the antenna, and ran out the door with it. When she ran out the door, I ran behind her, and I said, give me my son's radio. And she was trying to get in the car with it, but I got it from her and took it back. I ran back in the house, and I said, you know what? Wait right here. Let me give you these jeans, and I will have nothing else to do with you. She started ranting and raving in my parking lot saying, I don't want the MF jeans. She didn't want them at that point. I just shut my door. When I shut my door, she left with Micah, took him home or whatever. The next thing I know, she comes back with her daughter, Kendra, and they're ranting and raving outside. I don't know what they were saying. You're this and you're that, all in front of my neighbors.
What time was this?
It was right after she left. You know, she came about 10:30.
So it was sometime after 10:30.
Yeah, she came back.
Okay.
And I was just like, I'm going to bed. I am not going to deal with them. But before she got to my house, she called me from the cell phone saying, you're going to pay. And I'm going to make sure you pay. So you take that for what it's worth. I know how to make you pay.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Beverly Hilson says after an argument with former friend Rhea Randall, her car was vandalized.
Go ahead.
So I called her back. I said, don't call my house and threaten me anymore. Because have you forgotten? And she had forgotten. When she was evicted from her apartment, she asked me to please keep a lot of her coats and clothes, you know, old stuff that she had in my son's. I didn't have any room for my own things. I said, have you forgotten that all of your clothes are over here and you're threatening me? I will throw all of this stuff out on the lawn right now and let people have their pick. And I did say that. I was very angry. You put my 4-year-old son's life in danger, and you won't even acknowledge any of it. They were just nonchalant. She said, and she called me back and said, if your precious son does happen to get chicken pox or measles, then that means they were supposed to have it. She said that she was going to make me pay. The police came. The police came. When the police came, the police knocked on my door and asked me if I had anything that belonged to her. I gave the police her clothes. In the meantime, they're calling me on the phone, saying all kind of crazy things, or you're going to pay and this, that, and the other. No problem, okay? The next morning, I wake up, 6 o'clock in the morning. My child care provider came to pick my son up. And she said, Beverly, what's all this on your car? What's wrong with your car? I was like, nothing. She said, come out here. And I went outside, and, Your Honor, I have a statement. My total car, from front to back, every panel that's visible was scratched.
Let me see. You have pictures?
I don't have any pictures. I have the police report. I have a witness statement. The witness could not be here today, but they sent a statement.
Why can't the witness be here today?
They had prior commitments.
I can't accept that excuse, but I'm going to take a look at the police report.
Okay, here's the police report, including the witness statement, and also...
Don't give me the witness statement.
Okay.
Which one is the police report?
Is the witness statement contained in the police report?
Yes, it's in the police report.
Take a look. You called in the police report at about 8 o'clock in the morning, that next morning, I see. Is that right? Okay. The police report confirms the scratches all over the car, the entire car, and you have an estimate for the car.
I have an estimate,
Can I see
also
it,
a statement from the Earl Scheib. It's on the second page. And also, Your Honor, I'd just like to let the court know that a couple of weeks ago, before this court date, she called my job. And she said to me that, I'm going to be honest with you, my intent was just to flatten your tires. So her intent was just to flatten my tires.
All right. Ms. Randall, let me hear your version of the events, please.
Okay, Your Honor, the version that I'd like to give you of the events is the truth. I raised my right hand. There was no Bible. I wish there had been. Maybe Beverly would have been more forthcoming had there been. Almost all of what she said was not true. The first statement that came out of her mouth was the defendant's ex-boyfriend. His father is a friend of mine who is a comedian, and I am his godmother, and he stays with me regularly. On the night in question, that Saturday night, his father was opening at a new venue in the Valley. So I asked Beverly, through my daughter, if she could keep Micah so that I could go there. Would she mind keeping Micah? She said, fine. I called her a couple of times on my cell phone because the show was going longer than it had been expected. I called her about 11 o'clock, and I said, Beverly, it's late. I'm in the Valley. I said, but I'll be there. She said, that's okay. Just leave him here. It's too late to pick him up.
Okay.
So I didn't pick him up. The following morning, I went to church. She didn't go. Yes, there was a question. My eviction has nothing to do with this case.
My question to you is, so far what she says is absolutely accurate. You or your daughter asked her to babysit for Micah, whether she told you the boy could stay because it was too late or not is really not relevant. The boy stayed until the next day, and she was giving the boys a bath. Now, my question to you is, she says that Micah had chickenpox either recently or at that moment, but he certainly had marks from the chickenpox, and she says that when she called you, you did indicate to her that you knew you knew or had been told at some point that he had chickenpox. Is that correct?
No.
Okay.
Your Honor, what happened was, it was after we came from church, so that was around 2 or 3 in the afternoon. She came to bring him home, and she said, look at these marks on him. And I said, they look like flea bites. And so she said, I said, just give him here. She says, no, that's okay. I'll take him with me because I'm going home and I'm going to fix this dinner and he'll have dinner and then you come pick him up.
So far, that was very nice of her.
Right.
So far, there's no problem.
So far, there's no problem.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I get a call on my cell phone. At the time, I happened to be at Micah's mother's house getting my hair braided. And so she's ranting and raving on the phone about Micah having chicken pox. And I said, what are you talking about? Micah, you know that those are flea bites. She failed to mention the fact that she had a cat that she got from me. She had been complaining. The cat got killed because she allowed her son to throw it over the fence. Wait a minute.
Listen to me. Miss Randall.
No, Judge Judy, I'm trying to tell you that she has the fleas in her house.
Listen to
That's
me.
when she got raving mad.
Listen to me. Doesn't make sense. Because if she came to see you, as you said, after church, and wasn't concerned at all, something happened between after church at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and 6 o'clock at night when she called you. And what happened was that she had a conversation with Micah, and Micah told her that he had chickenpox. Now, he may have been wrong, but something happened. She did not become psychotic between 2 o'clock in the afternoon and 6 o'clock at night, Miss Randall, because she was doing you a favor. She said, bring him over. According to you, she said, don't even bother to come back now. It's too late. Stay, have a good time. I'll pick him up in the morning. Then you see her the next day after church, and still everything is fine. And you say, leave him here. And she said, no, I'll take him home and have dinner because I'm going to make dinner. So far, she's being a really good sport. Does that sound right to you?
Sounds right to me.
And then if I were to believe your version of the events, she took some kind of mind-altering drug between 2 and 6 o'clock in the afternoon and became psychotic. And I'm telling you, that doesn't fit with my common sense barometer. So Micah may have said to her, in response to a question, she may have said to him, do you have chicken pox? And he may have said yes. Maybe he didn't. He may not have told her the accurate story, but she legitimately felt at that point that you and your daughter placed her children at risk of infection with a child who was infected with chickenpox. As a parent, you can understand that if that's what she believed. So what I want to know is, what was all the hoopla about? If she spoke to her at 6 o'clock, how come you didn't get there until 10 o'clock at night?
First of all, Your Honor, his mother was braiding my hair. When she heard me on the phone speaking to Beverly and heard Micah's name, she asked me what's going on. I told her Beverly thought Micah had chickenpox. She said in the background, Micah already had chickenpox. He doesn't have chickenpox. Okay? And she also said Beverly later told me that her children had already had chickenpox, and so that wasn't the issue. Her issue was that I didn't come right away. I didn't come right away, Your Honor, because I wasn't concerned, because I knew that he didn't have chickenpox.
But you didn't come right away.
I didn't come right away because I wasn't at home.
All right. Let's go a little bit further. there came a time when you came back to the house after you had gotten Micah. Micah was now out of her home, and the police were called. Did you contact the police?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Why did you contact
Your
the
Honor,
police?
when I picked Micah up, I got home, and I got a phone call. You better come get your MFSH. I've thrown it on the front lawn, and you better come before them come and get your stuff. So I immediately, I just jumped up. I went over to the house. I pull up.
Who did you go? Who did you go with?
I went with my daughter. My daughter came with me.
Okay, so you went over there with your daughter.
Yes. And so I pulled up, and there she lives. There's
Where's
a house.
Micah?
He was at home
With
my
whom?
father. Okay. I pull up into the, she has a long driveway. There's a house in front, and then her house is in the back. So I pull up into the driveway. There are no clothes on the lawn. I knocked on the door, and I said, Beverly, give me my stuff, please. Because at this point, she had gone so...
Okay, so she didn't give you your stuff. I wanted to, so the police, you left the house and called the police?
No, I didn't. I sat in the driveway because when I got to the door, she said, I'm not giving you, she said, you know, I'm not, and she slammed the door. So, and then she opened it again. And so I sat there and I
You went inside and got the radio at some point?
No, that was earlier. I didn't get the radio and bring it out of her house at all because she got it before I got out of her house. Okay. And I didn't break anything on it.
Just a second. Why did you grab the radio?
Because, Your Honor, Beverly is the kind of person...
No, I don't want to hear what kind of person she is. I want you to tell me why you grabbed the stereo out of her wall socket and started to walk out with it.
Because she owed me money. She told me when she came earlier that day, when she brought Micah, I'll give it to you when you come and pick Micah up. When I got to her house, she just pretty much nonchalantly said, look, I don't have your money. And I'm not giving it to you. Don't worry about whatever. You'll get it when you get it. I was upset at her, and I did pick the radio up. And I was going to walk out of the door with it and told her, well, I'll give you your radio back when you give me the $35. $35 for some jeans. And she snatched the radio back from me. And
okay, so now we got the radio. Now we got the radio. When did you call the police? When you were sitting outside?
Right. I was
sitting outside, the police arrive. Police arrive, and you get your clothes.
Yes.
All right. And then you left?
Yes.
With your daughter?
Yes.
Okay, so you had nothing to do with scratching up her whole car? All right. Opportunity, motive, and inclination. Those are the things that I have to deal with.
Okay, Your Honor.
Shh, I'm speaking. Clearly, you were very angry that day, and you were angry enough to call the police involving your best friend. You were angry enough to grab a radio from out of her house. And who else would have the opportunity, the inclination, and the motivation to do it, but either you or your daughter, because you were angry. You were angry because she said, I'm not giving you back the $35, which is really something that she probably said out of anger because she was put out by the fact that she felt as if you and your daughter had placed her children in jeopardy, even if it was not a real threat, even if he did not have chickenpox. But clearly the child told her that he had. So, based upon that, put your hand down. You don't seem to be losing yet, right? The estimate for repainting this car is $580, and I'm awarding that to the plaintiff. That's all.
Versus Harris. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Stand over there, please. Your last name is what?
Crispin, C-R-I-S-P-I-N.
Mr. Crispin, I think that you're an integral part of this case, which is why I asked you to stand up with Miss Harris. Uncross your arms, please. Miss Newsom, I'm going to try to set up what I believe is the family tree here so that we all understand it. You have a child who is 7 years old.
Correct.
Mr. Crispin, I assume, is the father of that child.
Correct.
Miss Harris is his current girlfriend. Is that right?
That's correct.
Do you have any children together?
No, we do not.
It is your claim that Miss Harris called you around holiday time last year and asked if you would do them a favor. Mr. Crispin wanted to take the child that you share, your son, to visit his family over the holidays. And Miss Harris was calling to find out if you would rent a car using your credit card so that he could take Miss Harris, I assume, or not Miss Harris, just your son and himself to visit his family over the holidays. Ms. Harris was doing that because she wanted to make him happy.
Probably.
And she said they didn't have a credit card. Would you rent the car in your name and she would pay you?
Correct.
And she even gave you a check for $250 for the deposit.
Correct.
And you said?
Well, I told her that I would go on and rent the car based on the fact that she asked me, not because of him, and plus because of my son.
Okay. Now, did you get along with Miss Harris?
Yes.
Excuse me, Judge.
What?
Do me a favor. Take your hands out of your pants, please.
How should I be standing
Just
like
stand
this?
with your hand. Just stand with your hands to your side.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Bert. You get along with Miss Harris?
Yeah, she was cool. We was pleasant. I got
And when
along.
your son goes to visit,
Exactly.
she's nice to him.
She
so you got
called
along.
and checked up to see how he was doing and everything. Exactly.
Good. Perfect. But I assume you don't get along with Mr. Crispin that well.
No, I do not.
Okay. So you said you would rent the car for her.
Exactly.
Now, how did she get this check to you?
Well, we met up at Key Bank, and she gave me the check, deposited it into my account.
And then where did you go?
Then we went to the rental car place at the airport.
And on what date did you rent the car?
It was Christmas Eve, December 24th.
So what happened next?
After we rented the car, I got insurance on the car because I knew that I was not going to be the one driving the car, that he was, because my car insurance paid for rental cars. So we rode up the street off Seltzer Road. We exchanged. I gave him.
Did they have him listed as a driver?
No, they didn't. No.
Why not?
Because we
Don't
didn't
they
set it
usually
up.
do that?
That's the way it's supposed to be done.
That's the way it's supposed to be done. But we didn't do it that way.
So you did it the wrong way?
Yes.
In the contract that you signed, didn't they say, are you the only driver?
Well, they asked was I the only driver.
And you wrote down yes. So what happened next?
After we departed ways, went home, and I rented the car for a week. Just in case he didn't make it back due to traffic or the weather or whatever. I rented the car for a week. And April had agreed, when she gave me the check for the $250, she had agreed that she would hook up with me Friday so she could give me the rest of the money on the rental car.
How much was the entire rental car?
The entire rental car for the week was like $431.
Okay.
Okay. So I called her Thursday. And I said, April, are we going to meet up Friday? And she was like, well, I have a meeting at my job, so let's do it Saturday. I said, what time? I said, I'll base my schedule around yours. She said, around 12. I said, okay, fine. I gave her till 1:06. Called the house. She did not answer the phone. So then I said, okay. So then I called back later. I said, April, she answered the phone. I was like, April, what's going on? Are you going to meet me to get the money? Well, Jeffrey's not back. I said, what does Jeffrey being back have to do with you giving me the money for the car? She said, well, I can't get to the bank. I said, well, April, he has the rental car. He doesn't have your car, so he's not going to be using your car. He's out of town. And she said, well, I have to wait till Jeffrey get back. I said, okay, fine. I said, well, you know that the car is supposed to be turned back today. And I said, if the car goes any longer, you're going to be responsible for paying those extra days. She said, well, I know, but I'm not. She said, I don't have an ATM card, and I need to go to the bank, but I can't go to the bank until Monday because I don't have an ATM card.
Did she ever give you the money?
No, she didn't.
What happened with the $250 check?
Well, she gave me the check for the $250. I deposited it into my account. A few days later, I received a letter from my bank, which is right here, stating, please find and enclose a copy of the 12/24/2002 deposit of $250, which has been returned unpaid due to the account is closed. As a result, we have deducted this amount from your account along with a $20 return deposit fee.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Pay no attention to what he's saying to you, madam. I want you to understand this. You don't want me to make you look foolish, do you? You know, I have that capacity to do that if you're lying to me.
And later today,
Why in the world, Mr. Peterson, would you come to court and say, I, in effect, committed statutory rape, and I'm here to ask her for rent?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. LaVonda Newsom claims her ex-boyfriend's current girlfriend, April Harris, owes for a loan to rent a car. April says LaVonda should be suing her ex.
Okay. Okay, Miss Harris. I know there are a couple of other smaller issues with regard to gas in the car and that sort of stuff, but I would like to hear your version of these events, madam.
Okay. Granted, she was called to ask to rent the car for Jeffrey.
okay? She told me that she needed an extra $250 to show for a deposit in the...
No, just a second. She called you? Or
She
you...
had informed me when she was calling the rental car companies.
I want to know how you got to the rental car company. Did you call her and ask her to rent this car?
I just said that. I
Well,
said
let's go a
after
little
I
slower.
spoke to her. Okay.
Let's go a little slower.
I called her.
You called her for what purpose?
To see if she would help me rent Jeffrey a car. Jeffrey was wanting to go home to Alabama for Christmas. She had told me that the amount of the rental required a $250 deposit. I told her that I would give her a check for $250. However, that check will not clear my bank. She said that was fine. I told her, and she did know, that if it's a deposit, that she would get the deposit back for the rental.
Why didn't you rent a car for Jeffrey?
My credit card was maxed out at the time. It was Christmas. And this was a
So,
last
Miss
minute
Harris,
thing.
listen to me carefully.
I'm listening.
So, Miss Newsom is correct when she says that you called and asked to rent a car for your boyfriend using her credit card because you couldn't use yours. This was going to be a gift for him from you, right?
For the both.
I didn't ask you a thing.
Actually,
this was going to be a gift from you for Jeffrey.
Yes.
All
However,
right.
sir, ma'am, I do apologize for that, Your Honor.
Just a second.
Per my understanding.
Don't tell me what your understanding was. Don't pay no attention to what he's saying to you, madam. I want you to understand this. You don't want me to make you look foolish, do you? You know I have that capacity to do that if you're lying to me. You understand that?
Yes.
You don't want to look foolish in front of a whole bunch of people, including Bird. So you called her and said, I want to rent a car for Jeffrey as a gift for him. But I don't have a credit card. Can we use yours? Which is pretty much what she said. Is that right?
Not in the same language that you just
I
spoke
don't care
back
what
in
language it was. That
Well,
was
if you
the
want me to tell
understanding.
you what happened, then I would be more than happy to tell you my side. But that would require me speaking.
Around Christmas, according to your answer that you swore to, Miss Newsom, that's her, wanted to rent a car for the holidays but lacked the $250 deposit. That's what you swore to in your answer, but that wasn't true. You called her to rent a car for him.
Per my understanding, they had already spoke about renting a car to go down there.
True. And she already
She needed
knew.
an extra $250 deposit.
She knew about
No,
the
no.
check and everything.
No.
She
no.
knew.
I didn't speak to you.
Well, the truth ain't been told here.
Did you hear? Did you hear me? I didn't speak to you.
I understand that.
Good, then sit down.
I'll do so. I'm tired of standing.
Good. I know you probably work very hard.
I do.
No, he don't.
I do.
You do?
He don't.
Really? How much child support does he pay?
He doesn't pay me. He's been sworn. He
need to
doesn't pay
check
me.
the mail.
Okay, question. I'm going to answer your question. 0. How much? 0.
Could take some of his gold. Maybe we can sell it.
Exactly.
Listen! Your answer, Miss Harris, says she wanted to rent a car but lacked $250. Now, what doesn't make sense is for her to want to do something nice for Jeffrey. Do you understand? I don't even know Jeffrey, and I wouldn't want to do anything nice for him for Christmas.
Exactly.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
LaVonda Newsom claims her ex-boyfriend's current girlfriend, April Harris, owes for a loan to rent a car. April says LaVonda should be suing her ex.
Did he have a good time over the holiday?
I don't think so. I don't know.
You don't live together anymore?
Yes, we still do.
So when he came back, you didn't say to him, honey, did you have a good time?
No, because all of this was just too much drama filled. In other words, I was trying to do a good deed, and I'm the one who got snipped
A
in the
good
butt
deed for
it.
whom?
For him, and per my understanding for her, because her daughter was going away with her father for Christmas, so she was going, Quavon was going with her, with Jeffrey. So basically, all in the matter is to settle things, to make everything just copacetic for Christmas. Her daughter's going to be with her father. Quavon would have been with Jeffrey. She would have been on for Christmas. I would have been on for Christmas. The check was given. She was aware of that, okay?
I'm talking about who called whom. You called her.
They called
and
both.
according to you, said to her, would you do this for me because I don't have a credit card that I can use? That's what you said to her.
Pretty much, because she was calling wanting to know if Jeffrey would be able to take their son, or is Jeffrey still going to take their son to Alabama?
Exactly.
And
Is
I
he
said,
still?
I'm not sure yet, because Jeffrey, until the last moment, did not say he really wanted to go until Christmas Eve.
But you had made the arrangement before Christmas Eve to rent the car for him, is that right?
Not with her, no.
She called me a week prior.
What date did you call her to rent the car?
I think it was the day before New Year's Eve, which was
The day, but not New Year's Eve, you mean Christmas?
The day before, which would have been the 23rd of December.
So I'm saying to you, you said he didn't make up his mind that he wanted to go until Christmas Eve, but you had spoken to her before.
No, I didn't speak to her until that day.
A day prior is before.
A day before?
Well, yes, ma'am, yeah.
Give her money, $600. Judgment for the plaintiff. Goodbye. Hope you enjoy him.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Whatever the situation may be, she should have went at him. So obviously there's some type of vendetta, but she got her money, so she has no reason to call my house. She has no reason to bother me whatsoever. So I hope she just gets to life and get on with herself.
Even though she told me I should have got it from Jeffrey, but I wouldn't have rented the car if Jeffrey would have came to me and asked me for the car. I did it for the sake of her and my son because she came to me because me and her was cool.
She wanted me to take my son out of town. She wanted to go do whatever she wanted to do, and that's case closed, you know?
My son is going to be, he's the one that's going to basically be out of it due to the fact I'm not letting him see his dad due to the fact his dad don't pay child support.
That ain't got nothing to do with this here. You running business all out like that.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Peterson versus Matheson. Step forward, please.
21-year-old equipment operator Edward Peterson is suing the mother of his underage ex-girlfriend, healthcare provider Sherry Matheson, for unpaid rent. Sherry claims, in lieu of rent, she did housework.
Mr. Peterson, it is your claim that the defendant owes you for rent. Owes you for rent for herself and her daughter when they lived with you in a shared house and you were all on the lease.
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Matheson says there was never an agreement that she was going to pay you rent. Mr. Peterson, when did you lease this house and who lived there?
I began the lease on this house, I believe it was the 4th of October of last year, and the initial parties that moved in were myself, Sherry, her daughter Amber, and Sherry's boyfriend Dan.
Now, in reading these papers, it is intimated in these papers that Amber, that's the daughter, was your girlfriend.
Yes, ma'am.
And how old are you, sir?
I'm 21 years old.
And how old was Amber when she moved in?
I found out that she was 16.
Amber was 16.
Now, I was at the time...
Shh. Okay, what you know. Amber was 16 at the time, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, how many bedrooms were in this house?
It was a 2-bedroom townhome.
I assume that Miss Matheson, who moved in with her boyfriend, and your boyfriend's name is?
Dan.
Dan, shared one bedroom.
Yes, ma'am.
And you shared another bedroom with Amber?
Yes, ma'am.
With her mother's consent?
Yes.
Shame on you. Big time. How many months did that arrangement continue?
That arrangement continued for 2 months, and at the end of the 2nd month, I had not received any money from Amber or her mother for the rent.
Amber wasn't going to pay you any money, sir. Was that the arrangement, that Amber pay you money?
The arrangement was that everybody pays their own portion of the rent. There were 4 of us living there.
Well, Amber can't pay her portion of the rent because Amber's a minor. Right?
Correct.
So how much was her mother supposed to pay?
Let's see. Her mother would have paid the $312 for herself per month, and the agreement was that she would also pay the $312 for her daughter, which would be $650 or $625.
Bull. Bull. There's no way that Miss Matheson said to you, "You're sleeping with my daughter in your bedroom, and I'm going to pay her rent." You're lucky you're not in jail, sir. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Your lawsuit is the height of chutzpah. Why you would expose yourself is absolutely beyond me. Are you still in this apartment?
Yes, I am.
So why in the world, Mr. Peterson, would you come to court and say, I, in effect, depending upon the jurisdiction where I lived, committed statutory rape, and I'm here to ask her for rent?
The reason is, Your Honor, because for the months of December, January, February, and March, I was laid off from my job.
Yes.
And I needed their portion of the rent to help cover the bills of the townhome, help cover the rent and utility bills, which is the whole reason we're in court.
All right, Miss Matheson, you tell me. I mean, because I'm not too fond of you either. I want to explain that to you. I think as a mother, you are a jerk. But you want to explain to me, madam, what you claim this rent arrangement was?
When we agreed to move in together, he said that he would take care of Amber's portion of the rent and everything.
Of course he did.
And he said, Dan will end up taking care of yours. And he said, and with you doing the laundry and the cleaning and always had meals fixed and everything, he said, that'll take care of yours.
And then what happened to
and
Dan?
I always put money in and paid because I always had money coming in.
From what?
From my savings account in Kansas. And then I had child support.
Did your ex-husband know what these living arrangements were in this house?
Yeah, he doesn't care. He doesn't care about his daughter at all.
That's lovely to hear. I think you people all deserve each other. Except you. The case is dismissed, sir. You're lucky you're not in jail. You don't have any other children, do you?
Mm-mm.
Perfect.
Parties are excused.
Mrs. Robinson, you're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Mrs. Bennett, the defendant is your son,
yes, ma'am,
who you claim owes you for some utility bills that were incurred when you lived in a house together with your son, his wife, and their children. And then in a duplex house, you lived in one floor and they lived in another, and the utilities in both places were in your name.
Yes.
And you claimed that there was an agreement that he pay those bills.
In his apartment only.
Okay. Well, first tell me about the house that you shared together. When did you move into that house?
July of 2001.
Why did you move in together?
Well, Bob was having financial problems, and he needed Karen.
Shh. Don't answer. I'm going to get to you. Promise you.
He
was having the financial problems?
Yes.
Go ahead.
And he needed Karen to go to work, but he also needed someone to watch the kids. So me moving in, helping with the rent and utilities, and watching the children would help them.
What's your first name?
Robert.
Robert. Don't speak until it's your turn. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
So that's why you moved in?
Right.
Were they already living in this house?
No, we got it together. They had moved out of their apartment in with me. I had a 2-bedroom house. Of course, it was just too small for all of us.
Okay. Listen to me carefully, sir. I'm going to ask you a question. So far, is it correct that you and your wife and your children, at some point prior to July of 2001, moved in, even for a short time, with your mother in her house that had 2 bedrooms?
Yeah, but the arrangement was we were going to look for Yes.
Requires a simple yes or a no.
Yes.
And how long did you live with your mother in her house?
For like a month, just until we found a large place. That's
Good.
it.
And then...
That was the arrangement.
Does your wife listen to you? Do you make the rules in your house?
Yes.
Not here. Not here. Okay, so then you moved into a house together, and what was the financial arrangement?
I had the upstairs bedroom. I would give him $400 a month for rent, utilities, plus I would chip in anywhere from $100 to $150 for food every month.
And what was the entire rent on the house?
$1,200, I think it was.
Okay, and how long did you live there?
1 year.
Okay. Robert, listen
Yes.
to me carefully. Did you live in this house for approximately 1 year, from August of 2001 until August of 2002?
Yes.
Why were the utilities put in your name?
Because Bob owed back bills and couldn't have them on in his name.
And what was the arrangement with regard to the utility bills?
That he would pay him, you know, I'd give him $400 a month toward rent and utilities.
And he would pay the bills?
Right.
Okay. How much was left owing on those bills when you and your son and his family moved out of that house?
On the electric, the transfer amount was $684.04. And it was $315.05 on the gas.
So those amounts were transferred to the new account that was opened in the duplex?
Yes.
For some strange reason, you continue to have the accounts in your name?
Yes.
For both apartments?
Yes.
And what amounts were built up on his apartment only while you were there?
Well, I got a final bill for him in the gas for $1,290.98, and the electric, $884.18, and the cable, $836.64.
And those are just his bills, not yours?
No.
Okay. Good. Now it's your turn.
Okay. When we moved into the house originally, now she may have given me $400 a month or around $400 a month, but during the month,
she'd be like, Bobby got $20, I want to go to bingo. You know, can you buy me cigarettes, buy me some more pop, buy me this, buy me that, keep a gas in my car. So by the end of the month, I mean, it's like I got nothing from her.
So let me understand this. In the first house that you lived together,
Yeah.
your arrangement with your mother is, as she indicated, she would give you... She may let you cut her off. I don't. The arrangement was as indicated, which was your mother gave you $400, and the first part of your defense is that during the course of the year, she would say to you, Bobby, I got 20 bucks for gas, I need cigarettes, can you buy them for me? So it's your position that she ate into that $400 a month. So that's the first part of it. Okay? Now I'm ready to hear the rest.
Well, anyway, everything got tense in the house. Living together doesn't work. You know, I'm the man of my house, and then, you know, I don't need a mommy in the house, you know. So anyway, we found a place that we could rent both the upper and lower apartments, so we rented them. She transferred the balances from that house to my bills in the lower apartment.
Okay. And you thought that was wrong?
No.
You didn't?
No.
Oh, even though, you know, the cigarettes and the gum and the candy and the gas, you still didn't think it was wrong because it was money that you owed her?
No. To be honest, I would just assume leave it alone. You can't tell her what to, you know, you can't.
I don't want to tell you, we're in a court now.
You can't prove her wrong, you know what I mean? I mean, it's either her way or no way or an argument, and I just assume leave it alone. Fine,
So
I'll
you
pay the money.
did. Just a second. So you did, and you accepted the transfer to your
Yes.
account in the other apartment.
Yes.
Keep going.
Okay. Bills start coming. She come downstairs. Your gas is $200. I need that, you know. She would never show me any bills or anything. She would just tell me amounts.
The bills went to her?
The bills going to the house, she would get them out of the mailbox. If I would dare open a piece of mail that was in her name, I mean, she would have a coronary.
He's lying.
Oh, yeah.
Of course he is. Of course
Told
he
him
is.
that.
Because how did he know that the bills were transferred to the lower unit?
How do I know?
Unless he saw them.
Well, I saw them, but if I dare open one, it would be nothing but a
You mean
but a
you
book.
were able to do a Carnac with the bill? You were able to go like this? This is a bill, and this is the
No.
amount, and this was the transfer amount. So you
No.
had to have seen it,
No.
right?
No, no, no.
You just told me
I
so
saw
that
the
they
bill. I just didn't see the amount. I knew the bill was there. This was started this stuff. I opened one, and I saw the balances on there. And the
You
balances
did.
were astronomical. And I'm like, Ma, what's happened to this money? I've been giving you money every month, you know, and you're not paying the bills.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
So how much did you give her every month?
I don't have records. I mean, I just gave her what she asked for. You know? It's my mother. It's my mother. She lives upstairs.
Stop being a big baby, Bob.
And later today,
She herself is not even on the lease.
Yeah.
Then I come to find out we are not even supposed to be there.
Okay, fine. That's not why you moved out. Left on your own.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Janet Bennett says her son Bob Robinson owes for unpaid utility bills. Bob says his mother is always asking for money.
Let me understand. First part of defense was that you gave her cigarette money that ate into her $400 a month rent.
That wasn't really part of the defense.
Shh. Sir, then what'd you tell me about it for? I have other
I'm just
things to do
telling
today.
what kind of person she is.
Listen to me. She's not my mother, and I'm not looking for any friends. So that I don't have to know what kind of a person she is. I want to know what your defense is to this. So that you want me not to think about that defense. So whatever the transferred amounts were, that you accept, the amounts that were transferred to your lower unit.
Yeah, but I paid the balances.
Okay. So now you're telling me that you paid that balance of $900.
Not in full, no. She made a payment.
How much did you pay?
She made a payment agreement with the gas company. So we moved to a cheaper rent apartment. I had extra money. So I said, make a payment arrangement with the gas company, and I would pay these balances.
So how much did you give her every month?
I don't have records. I mean, I just gave her what she asked for. You know? It's my mother. It's my mother. She lives upstairs.
Bob,
I need $200 for the gas. All right, here.
What kind of
you know?
business are you in, Bob?
I'm in the cab business.
You're in a taxi cab business. So you know how much you take in, you know how much you take out, you know how much you pay for gas, you know
Sure.
all about those things.
Sure.
If you know that you have a problem with the gas company,
I didn't at then. I didn't.
well, you did. You had a problem with all your utilities. You don't build up utility bill of $1,000 for various utilities
That's
because
easy
you
up
paid
north.
them.
That's easy up north. Especially like this. I mean, even this year. I mean, I'm living in a small place.
What
My
about
bills
your
are
cable?
$400 a month.
How does one build up an $800 cable bill?
Well, that's because she didn't take the boxes back. The converted boxes.
Just a minute.
I told
We're
her to take
talking
them
about
back.
you.
I told her to take them back. She didn't take them back.
Why didn't you take them back?
Because it wasn't in my name. I asked her to do it.
Just a minute. In whose house were they?
Our house at the time.
Why didn't you or your wife take them back?
Because I work, she doesn't drive.
What did
and
you
we
do
lived
with
in the
them?
country, and I.
Shh. What happened to them?
I don't know. They may have got left. I don't know.
Stop being a big baby. You owe your mother the money. Come on.
I don't
Stop
owe
being
my
a
mother.
big.
No, I don't owe my mother nothing.
Stop being a big baby,
I don't
Bob.
owe my mother the money. I give her money all the time, okay?
I don't.
Bob
Listen
can
to
have
me.
$20 to go to bingo. Can I do? Oh, she still doesn't
I'm
know.
not talking.
She still doesn't know.
I'm not talking to you.
You know, I
sir.
feel like I have another.
I'm speaking.
I feel like I have another child.
Shh, listen to me.
I feel like I have another child here. I really do. I love my mother to death, but she's a pain in the ass.
Then don't live with her.
I'm not. She's moving. That's great.
Shh. I want you to try to listen. Try to receive rather than give out. I mean, I know it's hard.
God.
When you pull in your parent to help out, there's always a problem. When you're a grown-up and you have your own family and you want to make all of your own decisions, then you live separate and apart from your mother. But if you're a grown-up and you have your family and you have to ask for whatever assistance it is, even for a short time, from your mother, and then you say, well, you may be my mother, but you're not my mother who's going to give me advice. You're not my mother who's going to tell me what to do. She wouldn't have to tell you what to do if you didn't ask her for a favor. You asked her for a favor. Whatever it was, your circumstances were such that you couldn't cut it alone. So you moved in with her, even for a short period of time. And that creates friction. But how many grandmothers do your children have?
One.
You are being so totally unfair to her and your children.
Why is that?
Because children are entitled to have the widest possible community of love and affection that they can. And if, because of this argument that you're having with your mom, your children are affected by it, that's a terrible thing to do to your kids. Now, if you think, Bob, that I believe that it's the right thing for a mother to sue her child, I don't.
No.
I think that, Mrs. Bennett, that it's a dumb thing to do, because I think that what you have to do is you have to take a hard swallow and say, I'm not going to put myself in that situation again because I can't afford it, but I'm not going to sue my son because I just refuse to do that. So I think that that's a mistake. I believe you that he owes you the money for the utility bills. I think that he probably hit some hard times, and he's got kids, and he's got his own expenses, and he has gas, and he has food, and he probably has insurance, and he has medical bills, and he has all kinds of other stuff, so that you were covering this, and it was on the back burner. And I believe that everything else that he's telling me are excuses, but I think it's a mistake to sue your child. That being said, I think that if you use as retaliation that you're going to cut her off from her grandchildren, that's a mistake, because it's a mistake for your children.
I just think, I mean, she has the audacity to try and sue me for money that was paid to her.
I don't believe it was paid to her, Bob.
It was.
I don't believe it was paid to her out of gas
take a
money and
lifetime to
cigarette
get to
money.
know her.
That
But it's
being
ridiculous.
said, that
It's
being said,
ridiculous.
listen to me. That
This is
being said,
ridiculous.
you asked
Okay?
for her help.
Because she has copies
Bob,
of bills that she didn't pay?
receive. I just said to you, it's a mistake to embroil your children in adult problems. In any event, judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm not proud of what I had to do, but I had to do it.
Well, you've been conned by the biggest con artist I know.
I love my son. I love my grandkids, and he won't let me see them.
What's she going to sue me for next, you know?
He blows up and says, I'm a man, you know, I don't need a mommy.
I mean, I don't care now. She's moving. Goodbye.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Cotton Price versus Grum Boys. Step forward, please.
Medical assistant Victoria Cotton and tax assistant Dane Price are suing their former roommate, bartender Angela Grumboyce, for overcharging them for rent and emotional distress.
Who is speaking for the two of you?
That would be myself, Your Honor.
And you are?
Victoria Cotton.
All right, Ms. Cotton, you and Mr. Price rented a room, answered an ad and rented a room from the defendant. And it is your claim that you were overcharged in rent and some other nonsense about her not telling you about her past, which you think she should have told you before you rented the room. Is that right?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay. Let me take care of that part first.
Okay.
You're not entitled to know the social criminal background of anybody who is your landlord. You're renting a room, she doesn't have to tell you whether she suffers from any illness whatsoever. Nor does she have to give you information regarding if she had any prior activities with law enforcement or social services. You're not entitled to that. Do you understand?
I understand.
Good. Now let's talk about the rent. When did you answer this ad, and when did you move in?
I answered the ad on April the 23rd. I moved into her home on April the 30th.
Who moved in?
I did, Your Honor.
Just you?
Yes.
So what's he doing here?
I've been living there since January.
With her?
No.
So what are you doing there as plaintiff?
I was being overcharged in the beginning, but I didn't even notice it because I was at work all the time. She brought it to my attention.
So the two of you moved in separately.
That's correct.
And you're both suing her for overcharging you rent.
That's correct.
Tell me what kind of an apartment this was.
It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. It was to include laundry and kitchen privileges.
Uh-huh.
When I met with Ms. Grumbois, I stated to her that I had 2 children. One would be with me constantly. The other one was going to be with me on a part-time basis.
And when did you move in?
January 1st.
Okay. And what was the rent that you agreed on?
$475.
And what rent were you paying?
I was paying $500, Your Honor.
Now, why do you think she was overcharging you in rent?
When I first interviewed with her, she had stated to myself and to Mr. Price that we were all going to be paying equal shares of rent and utilities. Shortly after I had moved in, I had noticed some behavior and things that caused me to investigate further. I went to her manager's office at the apartment complex and I inquired as to what the rent was. She told me that the rent was $1,200 a month. Well, with my $500, Mr. Price's $475, I calculated that she was paying $200 to $225. I also know that previous tenants before me paid $550, which means that she paid even less.
And how many months did you live there?
I lived there for 2.
And how many months did you live there, sir?
6.
Okay. So let me tell you a little about what the law is. This is not a rent-controlled situation. This is not a situation where the government does oversight when someone rents rooms in their apartment or even rents rooms in their house. Let's say you're renting an apartment in a big apartment building, and you want to negotiate the rent with the landlord who wants to charge you $500 a month. And the landlord says to you, listen, I have to charge you $500 a month rent because it costs me $400 a month in order to maintain each unit. So in order for me to make any profit, I have to charge you $500. And you agree to pay $500. Later, you find out that it only costs the landlord $300 a month to maintain each unit. You think that you can go back to the landlord and say, I want a reduction in my rent. That doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. If it's true that she said that to you, that you were going to be sharing the rent equally, that's what they call in the trade puffing. That's like when you go to buy a car and the salesman said, listen, the car costs us $26,000. I'm giving it to you for $50 over that price. And you say, okay. And then you find out that instead of making $50 on the car sale, he made $550 on the car sale. You think he's going to give you back your money? She was cutting her rent. There's nothing wrong with that.
Your Honor, she herself is not even on the lease. She's lived there for 10.5 years.
Yeah.
Then I come to find out we are not even supposed to be there. Her contract specifically states that she is not to be subleasing, although her management company claims that they know that she has roommates.
Okay, fine. That's not why you moved out. You weren't evicted, were you?
No.
Left on your own. She's allowed to do what she's doing. There's no oversight. So you don't have a lawsuit. Do you understand that? But that's the law. Do you understand that that's the law, whether you agree with it or not?
I understand.
That's what the law is. So you're not living there anymore. Go, be happy, have a nice life. Forget it. Goodbye. You were lovely. You presented a very good case.
Yeah, right. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat, please.
Ms. Lasai, you were a tenant of the defendants for 2 years, according to your complaint, and you claim that for 2 years you overpaid him in rent.
Yes.
And you want to be reimbursed for that overpayment.
Yes.
The defendant seems to say that you caused all the problems yourself, and he owes you nothing. So let's get some dates and facts. What kind of property was this? Was it a house or an apartment?
No, it was a house.
And when did you move into the house?
November 7th, 1998.
Did you have a lease?
Yes.
May I see the copy of the lease? Who moved into the house?
Me and my 2 kids.
Was that all the people who lived in the house?
Yeah, my boyfriend used to be there, but he didn't live there.
You still have the same boyfriend?
Yes.
How old are your 2 children?
11 and 8.
Is he the father of those 2 children?
No.
But he was your boyfriend in 1998? Where does he live?
In L.A.
And who does he live with?
His sister.
Right.
Huh?
Right.
Right what?
Just what I said. Right. All right, so you, your 2 children, and your boyfriend were there most of the time.
Well, he always was in L.A. because it was so far. So some nights he'll come over and sleep over, but mainly he was in L.A. by his mother or his sister because, you know, it was too far.
Right. Okay. This is not your lease, madam. What
Yeah.
you handed me here, at least the first page of it, unless there was another lease.
That's the whole contract from Section 8.
I'm not asking you for the contract from Section 8
Well, that's
housing.
the only lease that I have because that's how I got the house through Section 8. And that's the only lease that I have.
What was the entire rent that you were supposed to be paying pursuant to this lease agreement voucher program?
It's on one of those pages that's right up in here, 219.
It says the housing subsidy payment is $581, and the tenant's monthly payment shall be $219. Now, did the landlord get this $581 himself, directly from the state?
Yes, that's the contract.
Did you get
from
that
Section
directly
8.
from the state, $581?
Yes.
Okay. And she was supposed to give you, according to this, $219.
Yes.
Now, you moved in November 7th of 1998, and when did you vacate?
I didn't vacate till January the 9th when he moved my stuff out illegally.
Just a minute. January the 9th
Yes.
of 2001. And what rent were you paying?
For the whole, okay, I was paying $219 up until April 1999.
Okay, so up until April of 1999, you were paying what you were supposed to pay.
Yeah, $219.
And then what happened?
And then he said that the rent was going up, that I had to pay him the $620.
When did he tell you that?
That was in, I think it was March, because I have the first receipt that he handwritten right here for the $620.
So you started to pay him $620.
Yes.
In
April. Here you go, right here.
April of 1999. In May of 1999. You
April.
said you paid him in April $219.
Not April. Here you go. February the $219. Here you go. And this the one April for 1999 for the $620.
Okay. So in April of 1999, you started to pay him $620.
Yep.
Okay. And did you pay him the $620 from April 1999?
Yes.
Until you didn't hear my question.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Did you pay him the $620 each month from April of 1999 until you vacated the house on January 9th of 2001?
No, I paid it from April till October. After October is when the big dispute came about. In November was when he said, don't pay nothing the rest of the 2 months while you're there. See, if I get to tell what really happened, then you'll see why. Nothing got paid in November, nothing got paid December, nothing got paid January. I was supposed to move out January the 21st is when he went in my home on the 9th and removed all my property, put half in storage, left half there.
I don't care about your property,
Okay,
madam.
well, that's
not
what
the
I'm
subject
saying.
of this
That's what
lawsuit. I'm only asking you about when you paid rent.
Up
So you
until
didn't-
October.
Did she pay in October?
She paid all but $120 of
In-
the $620 that she was paying me.
I gave him $500.
Just a second. But she still was overpaying.
I don't want to answer that question until I present my side of the case, ma'am.
Okay. Well, at least according to you, Miss Lassie, you paid for approximately 18 months,
Mm-hmm.
an additional $401 a month.
Yes.
That comes to $7,218,
Yes.
which exceeds the limit of this court. You understand that?
Yeah.
Limit of this court is $5,000. Okay, let me hear the story, Mr. Strickland.
On 9/26/98, Chevelle Lasai, she filled out an application rental for that home that we were speaking of. And I thought the application looked good. It indicated that she had a job making $3,800 a month. It also indicated that she was had a voucher program. She had a car, a 1998 Mustang, and her Social Security number was on there.
Do you have a copy of that application?
Absolutely.
Can I see it, please?
Okay, I'll just staple it. Rental application. I felt that it looked good, and we got together. We talked about renting a house. We made an agreement, signed a rental agreement prior to the section or the housing agency, and that's this right here.
May I see it, please?
And I was under the impression that she could pay that amount since she, expressly signed that contract. About a month later, the situation broke down as I got the information from the housing agency that she couldn't pay $1,251 and that they would only allow $800 because she didn't have a job. She was on welfare. And so that struck me kind of odd. So I called her up, went over there, and I asked her, I said, well, they're not going to allow you to have the $1,251, and I thought that you had a job that could to pay over this voucher amount. And so I asked her why did she lie on the rental application. He says, don't worry, we're going to pay you. And I said, what do you mean we're going to pay you? And then at that time, her boyfriend came out and he says, Ken, we really like your house, man. Don't you worry about it. We're going to pay you, you know. I said, well, I don't know about this because, you know, I spent a lot of money getting this house prepared, and I also thought I had got someone in there that was truthful and honest, and that didn't turn out to be. By that time, you know, I felt that this person was living there. Not only that, I noticed that she had 3 dogs, 2 out in the yard, 1 in the house, and they also had a bird, which was strictly prohibited by, you know, the contracts that we signed.
So why don't you evict her?
Because it was a very tight spot for me.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't, Mr. Strickland.
No.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Chevelle Lassie says former landlord Kenneth Strickland overcharged her for rent. Kenneth says Chevelle lied about her qualifications for Section 8.
Listen, were you working at air conditioning?
Yes.
On whatever date you filled out this application. Let's
Yes.
see. You filled out this application
9/26/98.
9/26/98. You were working there?
Yes.
And you were earning $3,800 a month?
Yes, because I was working at Federal Express, too, during part-time.
Just a second. You were earning $3,800 a month?
Yes.
Why were you also getting a housing subsidy?
I've been getting housing since I was in New Orleans. And I
care whether-
transferred my housing here, and if you work, that's all they do is make your rent go up some or make it go back down. That's all they do.
You mean if you're making almost $4,000 a month, you're going to get somebody else to pay your rent?
You can be on Section 8 and make good money, just that your rent will be higher. You know, if you're not working, it goes down. So then when I wasn't working, it went all the way down. Because once I moved to Palmdale, I wasn't working at air conditioner no more. I got me another job.
Working for whom?
It's a warehouse place.
And how much were you earning there?
I don't have the total figures in front of me.
Well, give me an idea. Were you earning more or less than $3,800?
I was making less.
Did you tell him that you were going to change your jobs?
Oh, he knew where I was working.
Make $4,000 a month, and the boyfriend lives there, too. What kind of work does he do?
No, my boyfriend was not living there. He was not living
All right.
there.
Yeah, right. And your obligation was $200 a month?
$219.
$219 a month. That's a very good deal. Most people these days pay at least
Well,
a
that's
third.
what Section 8
I said to you,
approved it to be, $219.
this is a wonderful America. You can just transfer your Section 8 wherever you go.
Yes, because I have a voucher. I could transfer it anywhere I want.
Yeah, isn't that wonderful? Listen, it doesn't relieve you. You know the score. You're a smart man, right? You sign an agreement with Section 8 housing? Sir. Yeah. And your agreement with Section 8 housing is clear. This is what you collect from us. This is what you collect from her. Her obligation is $219. What you're telling me now is you entered into a side agreement with her that she would pay you more than the $219 if she really wanted the place. Is that what you're telling me? But that's prohibited by Section 8, right?
That is
Ah.
prohibited.
That's prohibited by Section 8. All right, but she still didn't pay rent for 3 months. Any rent for 3 months.
Because Section 8, this is what happened. He called me one morning in November, in 6:30 in the morning, and told me because Section 8 didn't pay him his $581 because he didn't do some work that was done in the house when they came to inspect it, that if I didn't pay the whole $1,200, that I had to get out. I told him I was not paying it. I'm going to just move. Went to Section 8, told them what happened. That's when my worker let me know, no, you are not liable to pay what we do not pay him. But he had me under the impression that I was supposed to be paying him the whole amount that they didn't pay him, and it was a lie. And when I confronted him about it, oh, well, that's what Section 8 told me. I said, no, they didn't. You was just trying to get my money. So I let her know I had been overpaying him the rent, and she the one told me to call legal aid to get advice on it, how to sue him to get my money back. And
Did you file tax returns last year?
No. Wait, did I file what?
Tax returns
Oh, yeah,
last
I'm
year.
sorry. I'm sorry.
How much did you earn last year?
I don't know. It's on the papers. I don't have them with me.
Everybody knows how much they earn.
Let me see. About...
Everybody
It
knows.
was like 20, 24, 25, something like that. I don't know the exact amount.
Drive a car?
Yep.
What kind of car do you drive?
A Toyota Camry.
What year?
1988.
What happened to the Mustang?
I don't have it anymore.
What happened to it?
I sold it.
Well, you were driving a new car. 98.
I just decided that I didn't want it no more. One of my friends took over the notes on the car. I went to the auction, got me a little 1988
Just a minute.
Camry.
So you were paying out notes on the Mustang in 1998 when you filled out this rental application.
Yes.
And how much was your car note?
With insurance and everything, it was like $451
a month.
Yes.
So you're paying $451 a month for your Mustang, and you're paying $219 for rent.
Yes.
You in the wrong business.
What you mean the wrong business?
You're right.
I mean, I had help, so I mean, what's the wrong business? I had a boyfriend that was helping me out. So, I mean, what's the wrong business?
The problem is, I got two people playing the system, right? I got two people playing the system, and certainly Mr. Strickland, I mean, his excuse was that he was lied to on the initial application.
No, he was not.
And that's, yeah, he was.
No, he was not. He
was.
I was working at air condition. I wasn't even on the county then.
You are on the county when you, listen, madam, when the government pays your rent.
Okay, well, you can work and have Section 8.
I'm speaking, when the government pays your rent, that means you're taking money from the state because you can't afford to pay your own rent. People who can't afford to pay their own rent don't spend $450 to drive around in a Mustang convertible.
Judge, when I got to Section 8 in New Orleans, I was not working. I transferred my stuff here. You are allowed to work and get Section 8. You are allowed to work.
I didn't say that you weren't, madam.
I mean, well...
I didn't say that you weren't allowed to work. You are allowed to work and still get assistance if you're not earning enough money to pay for your rent. What I'm saying to you is if you can afford $450 a month to drive around in a new car, then you don't need that much money to pay your rent. That's what I'm saying. You don't get that? No, you don't get that. Now, Mr. Strickland, who filled out this application?
Can I see if that's...
Chevelle Lasai filled that out.
Okay. Did you call her employer, sir, to check these references?
I did call her place of employment, and they did verify that she worked there.
For 4 years?
Yes.
All right. Now, Mr. Strickland, let us assume that this is correct. This was not misleading. If you called and verified that she was working there, then she didn't fill out a false application. She may have changed her jobs later. And she did, in fact, have this 1998 Mustang. So why is this false?
Social Security number is wrong.
Oh, you're full of baloney. You're a smart guy.
Okay, I have...
You're a smart guy. What difference does it make if the Social Security number was wrong? What substantive difference does it make? She gave you her name, she gave you her address, how much rent she was paying, where she was working, how much she was earning. You called and verified where she was working. She did, in fact, have the car at the time. So your defense to me initially, at least in your answer, Mr. Strickland, was that she lied initially in her application. I don't see any lies here.
Okay, could I continue then my...
And do it fast, sir.
Okay, soon after she moved in, like I said, the agency said that we signed the agreement, and however, when they had told me that she wasn't capable of paying it, I went to her, and as I say, we talked about this, and at the time the guy came out, he says, we are going to pay it. Then they had 3 dogs there. They had a bird.
I got 3 dogs and a bird. Yeah, go ahead.
And I said, shh. And I told him, in no uncertain terms, I said, because you are breaking the lease, you know, I have to charge you damages on a monthly basis, and that's going to be $451 plus the water, trash, and everything else. And she agreed to do that.
That's not true, Your Honor.
Doesn't make any difference, sir. Sir, you know that the rules state, the contract you signed with U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development are clearly specified that you are not permitted to charge her any more money. Now, if, Mr. Strickland, you say to me that she was going to pay you $219 and that you had an agreement with her boyfriend and you could establish that he was living there, that you had an additional agreement, that he was an additional tenant in that property, I may say, maybe. But you knew that you were breaking the law by overcharging her. You knew that. The fact that she shouldn't be receiving this money to begin with irritates me as a taxpayer. Big time. Big time. Because she says, well, they just transferred from New Orleans to where I'm living.
They did.
Well, she's a little bit smarter than that,
That's
Your Honor.
not a second. Listen to me. She's very smart. She's got the system worked out fine. She's got the boyfriend who lives there. The two of them work, right? And the total income that they have, on their total joint incomes, they pay rent of $219 a month. And at the same time, I'm sure he has a car. She's driving around in a new Mustang, right? Taxpayers are footing the rest of the bill, $580 a month for her rent that we're paying as taxpayers. So believe me, I understand that she's got it down pat, but you broke the rules. And unfortunately, as unfair as it may sound to me as a taxpayer, you are responsible for this $5,000, which is the maximum that I can award her because she actually overpaid over $7,000 in rent. So I have no choice, sir, but to enter a judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $5,000. And I want to tell you something. It breaks my heart.
Versus Bisna. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Tell me your name.
Kim.
Is this your dad?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like you to do something for me. Bird, would you take Kim outside while I try this case, please?
Come.
Miss Marsh, the defendant had been married to your sister.
Correct.
And they were divorced for a long time. Your sister had custody of her two daughters, your two daughters, sir. And I gather you hadn't had much of a relationship with the two girls over the years. Is that right?
That's right.
Your sister had remarried.
Correct.
But tragically, she and her husband were killed in an automobile accident, and you took custody of your two nieces.
Yes, I did.
When was your sister killed?
June 19th of 2000.
Were they in a collision with another car?
No, the stepfather was driving Tracy. He was driving, and he had a seizure, and...
Okay. I gather, Mr. Vizina,
Yes, ma'am.
that because you hadn't had a serious relationship with your girls, you had no problem with the two girls going to live with their aunt. Is that right?
No, Your Honor. I did make that decision because I hadn't been the best father, and they don't know their father very well. And a lot of the reason I made that decision, it would not be fair to them considering the circumstances. They just lost their mother and their stepfather, that they should go with a stranger. And I thought it'd be in their best interest to stay with their aunt, where they're more comfortable. That way I could reestablish a relationship in that direction.
Do you have other children, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
How many other children?
I've got one boy that was just born in October.
That's your only other child?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
What your lawsuit seeks, Miss Marsh, is money. You say that you had to buy bedroom furniture for the children.
Yes.
And you want him to pay for the bedroom furniture that you purchased, and also braces for both girls.
Yes, at least help with these expenses.
He has a defense with regard to the furniture because he says he wasn't consulted. With regard to the braces, I'm going to get to that in a minute. Did your sister have a home?
She lived with her mother-in-law.
And I assume that the girls had furniture there.
They had a waterbed frame that was about 30 years old with a mattress thrown in. That's what they had for bedroom furniture.
I assume you went to court with regard to the issue of custody, and you were awarded legal custody of the girls?
Yes, I was awarded legal custody. I didn't have to go to court. He defaulted.
But you went to court. You have a court order giving you custody.
Oh, yes, yes.
Was there a support order entered as well for the two girls?
Yes, there is.
Is he currently paying that support order?
No.
What is the order?
$1,026 a month.
And when was that support order made?
December 1st is when it was to be start being paid.
Have you paid that money?
Your Honor, I was never informed of any court order, and as far as the legal custody goes, nothing has ever gone to court. Her lawyer had sent me a notice that he had dropped the case.
Are you telling me, sir, that you never received notification that you were to pay $1,026 a month for the support of your children?
No, Your Honor, not at all.
Well, how much money have you voluntarily paid for the support of your children since December?
As far as sending her monetary amounts of money, I've sent none at this moment. I had my youngest daughter over with me for the summer. She was going to live with me, and she decided to go back. I had provided her with the school clothes and things that she needed to go back to school.
Okay.
I've been in contact with them, but...
But that's since September, sir. We're talking about 7 months. Ms. Marsh has taken over financial responsibility for the girls. That's not her financial responsibility. That's yours.
Yeah, I agree.
So why haven't you sent her any money?
I really have no excuse for it. The Social Security benefits, they are receiving the death benefits.
Do the children receive death benefits through Social Security?
Yes, I do.
In what amount?
$716 total.
For both girls?
For both girls.
A month?
A month.
Any other benefits that the children receive?
No. The life insurance that their mom has left them, they will receive when they're 18.
In what amount?
$10,000 apiece. And then the auto insurance monies they will receive at the age of 25, 30, and 35.
And how much was that?
I don't know what it's going to be after it's accumulated interest through the annuities, but it was $50,000 less 25% for the attorneys.
For each of the children?
Total.
Okay. Mr. Vizina, $716 a month does not take care of two girls. Now, Ms. Marsh has to understand that she cannot go out and obligate you to purchase things for the girls by buying them and then telling you about the expenses. But I have a problem, and I want you to tell me, with regard to what I consider necessaries for the children, which are orthodontic braces, why you feel as if you are not responsible for that.
Right now, my youngest daughter, she doesn't have all her permanent teeth in yet.
She's 13 years old.
She's 13. When she was with us last September or August, I can't remember exactly which month, but she had already lost a tooth there. She doesn't have all her permanent teeth in. Want to get them mature enough to get all the permanent teeth in before spend money on the braces in order to. So
Where did you go to dental school? Where did you go to dental school?
I never did. It just wouldn't make any sense, Your Honor, if she's losing teeth when she's got braces on there if all her permanent teeth aren't in yet.
Everybody puts braces on before they're 13. My father was a dentist.
That's just my guess, Your Honor.
You guessed wrong. Can I see the report from the dentist?
Yes.
Thank you. Miss Marsh, do you have other children?
Yes, I have two girls.
About
two
the same
teenage
age?
girls. I've got one 19 and one 16.
Oh. They get along? Sometimes.
Yeah.
This is just for Kim.
Right. I can't afford to take both of them. I just can't afford it.
Do you have a report with regard to the need for the other child to have braces?
No.
Do you have the court order for $1,026 a
Yes, I
month?
do.
May I see it, please? Mr. Vizina, who do you work for?
News company in Fort Collins, Colorado.
How long have you worked there?
About 4 months.
What kind of work do you do?
Sales and distribution.
Are you the only source of income in your household?
Right now, my fiance has part-time work.
So you are the only source of income in your household?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any other support that comes into your household from the state?
No, Your Honor.
How much do you earn?
A little under $700 every 2 weeks.
Before you worked for a news company, sir, where did you work?
I was a nightclub disc jockey. It's kind of floating from nightclub to nightclub doing private parties.
You still do that part-time?
Just part-time, just a couple hours
Part-time.
a night, filling.
So you paid for that work in cash?
Not very much, but yes.
You have health insurance pursuant to your employment agreement?
I do. I was looking into putting a family. My two daughters on the health insurance.
Mhm.
It would have cost me probably over half of my monthly wages to put a family. The braces, as an example, she needed to call me on that and tell me what the monthly payments were. I don't have any problem helping pay for the braces. I just need to know what I'm supposed to pay. I'll be blindsided by it.
Mr. Vizina, it is clear to me, sir, that for a very long time you were perfectly comfortable that your former wife and her husband were taking care of these two girls and that you had no responsibility. You were not in their lives. You went on with your life. The girls clearly had a good life, I assume, with their mother and their stepfather, and they were not a financial burden on you. They are now.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kathleen Marsh says her former brother-in-law, Jeffrey Vesna, owes her for dental and furniture bills. Jeffrey admits he hasn't been the best father.
They're your responsibility. The fact that their aunt has chosen to assume their care does not relieve you of the financial obligation to support them. You should have been sending them money since September, since they were living with you, or one of them at least, during some of the summer months. You knew from September on, when she decided to go back to live with her other sister and her aunt, that support had to be forthcoming from you. And the fact that you don't earn a lot of money suggests to me that at minimum you should have said, I want to send you, without an order, $200 a month, $250 a month, just to show that I want to do the right thing. You didn't do that.
Your Honor, yes, I did. I have talked to her, and I said, look, we need to sit down. I was going to sit down with my fiance, figure out all the bills, the finances, get everything taken care of, the major bills that need to be taken care of in the household, and I already elected and told her I would send her money
didn't do
every
anything.
month.
Mr.
She
Vizina.
never got back to me. Next thing I know...
She doesn't have to get back to you.
I didn't know about the court case, Your Honor.
I don't care about court case. I'm talking about father case, Mr. Vizina. Father case. Doesn't have to be court case. You don't have to say we want to sit down and talk to you. Her life is in a turmoil. She has 2 daughters. She's taken on 2 teenagers that she's taken on because you were a non-parent for the last 10 years or more. It's not her responsibility. She's taken, her life is turned upside down. Not yours. You go on. You have another baby. You have a fiancé. You do your thing. Your life's not been turned around. She doesn't have to sit down with you. You just have to write out a check. That doesn't take a lot of sitting. And when the court gets around to making a support order and formalizing it, then you know what your bottom line obligation is. You have a substantial obligation here, sir. They're going to start taking out of your salary $1,026 a month because you didn't show up at this hearing. And what you're going to have to do is then you're going to have to move to open up the default in this case. It's going to cost you money to say either I was never served, I didn't know, what else. But you know what the law says now? The law says that if they can prove that you were served with these papers and just chose not to come, they are not going to reduce any of the arrears that have accrued since December. So every single month since December, you're going to owe $1,026, and they're going to start taking out of your check. So you better hurry up and get a job. You got it? Because he's going to be hustling around to support these 2 children who he hasn't supported since they were babies. When was the last time you sent money pursuant to a court order for the support of your 2 children?
Sent money out of my own pocket. As far as after my ex-wife died, no, I haven't.
No,
And
before she died.
I'll admit I haven't.
Shh. Before she died.
Before she died, I never had to. It came directly out of my paycheck.
When was the last time it came directly out of your paycheck?
I don't recall the exact
What
date.
year?
This last year, 2000.
I believe I have something on that, actually.
Oh, I'd like to see that.
Your Honor, they knew how to get a hold of me. They were going through the state of Wyoming. The state of Wyoming is the middleman taking care of all this. So,
just a minute. Just a minute. So you were under a court order, and it was coming directly out of your check, the amount of $325.40. Is that right?
that sounds like it might be right. The last I knew, the court order was higher than that.
As of this date, you owe $23,765.55 for the support of your children.
Yes, I do, and there's a reason it's that high, too, but you probably don't want to hear that either.
I don't want to hear that reason. Mr. Vizina, I assume you were working someplace else at the time this $325 came out of your check. Is that right?
It's working for, I believe it was Airmotive, painting aircraft.
So that's where this money was coming out of?
I believe it was coming out of there.
But then when you moved over to news, did you ask them to start taking out money?
There was no current support order. Since my ex-wife had passed away, the support order, there was no current support order out there. I had contacted the state of Wyoming Child Services about the child support. They said there was no existing order. They don't even have one on record, and if they did, they would have contacted me.
You contacted them why? Why did you contact them?
About child support and about making arrangements for my arrearages, paying off my back child support.
Just a minute. Or did you contact them and say, my former wife died, so she's no longer the payee? Did you tell them that?
No, Your Honor, I did. They told me that. I went in and explained to them the situation that I was going to, at one time I was going to try to bring the girls home to live with me. But I thought it wouldn't be right for me to do that because of the fact that I haven't been a terrific father. They don't know me very well, so I wanted to leave them where they'd be more comfortable with their aunt. They know their aunt, keep them around their friends because of their age. It would have been awful hard, very traumatic on them to bring them down home with me. Mm-hmm. And I'm paying the price for it now. I'm paying the price for it now. In more than monetary value.
Miss Marsh is paying the price for it.
Well,
now.
yes, she is.
I would like to just touch on that subject as far as the children's furniture expenses. During the funeral, I told him those girls had nothing. I told him they had no clothes, they had no furnishings, and that I was going to have to take care of all that. And he was just like, oh, geez, That's just too bad. And that's all there was said about it. He would not volunteer to help me out at all.
Okay. The problem is, Marcia, is you cannot purchase something like furniture and then say, now I want him to pay for it.
Okay.
Consult him later. Sir, listen to me. There is no question in my mind, Mr. Vizina, that the court there notified you of these proceedings, either by serving you personally or by serving you by substituted service. You elected not to appear, to travel to the state of Washington. There is no question in my mind that you were notified. Now, you may not have been notified, sir, with regard to the amount of the order, because the order was entered by default. And one of the reasons that Ms. Marsh has not been able to collect this order was because they don't know your Social Security number, they don't know your date of birth, they don't have your driver's license and the state number, because I assume that you need your car to get to work? Shh, listen to me. You need your car to get to work?
Yes. Well, actually, no. I drive my work vehicle, bring it home with me. So technically,
you need
no.
a driver's license to go to work?
Yes, Your Honor.
Unless you pay support, sir, they're going to take away your driver's license.
Yes, Your
I'm just
Honor,
telling you that. You understand
that.
I'm sure you've been advised of that. They don't mess around with child support anymore. They're almost as maniacal as I used to be when I was a sitting judge about collecting child support. You have your wallet with you, sir? You have your wallet with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Take it out. You have your Social Security card in there?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Take it out. Can I have a Social Security card, please? And while I'm doing this, you can take out his driver's license, too. Now what we're going to do, Ms. Marsh, is we're going to make copies of both of these documents that you can furnish the court so that they will have his Social Security number and his driver's license. And we also know that currently he is working at a news company, that his monthly gross income is somewhere between $1,400 and $1,600 a month, and that he has additional income from part-time work, and that is probably paid in cash, clearly not reported. Got it? Mm-hmm. Perfect. So we're going to make copies of that before we give him back to Mr. Vizina. You now have a mechanism to attach his salary. Now, that may not be effective because he may move. Mm-hmm. But while your sister may have had all of his information, you didn't. So I see this order is blank with regard to the pertinent information, how to get in touch with him. Right. Sometimes the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. But if you're going to buy things for the girls, and if you want to obligate him, other than the support order, you have to contact him first. He has to be notified first. But I believe, having read the orthodontist's report, at least one of your nieces is in need of having this done yesterday, since he is not forthcoming with either support, and since the order that was entered says that he is to maintain insurance for the children, which I assume he has not done because he says he was looking into that and he hasn't done it. I'm entering a judgment in your favor in the amount of $3,850, which will cover the girls' treatment. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Mr. Patterson, how long have you and the defendant been neighbors?
Approximately 4 to 5 years.
Have had any trouble with each other? Other than this instance?
Yes, I have.
Like what kind of trouble?
Well, my dogs were poisoned. My car was hit and run. My tires have been slashed.
What does that have to do with the defendant?
Well, I feel that he filed this report maliciously against me, Your Honor, to make my life miserable.
I'm not talking about the report. I'm talking about prior to this report that we're talking about. Had you had any difficulty with him?
Other than incidents, no. I rarely see these people or speak with them.
So, my question is, prior to this incident,
yes,
had you had any difficulty with Mr. Freytag?
No.
According to your complaint, you hit his car.
Yes.
Which was parked.
Yes.
Deliberately.
And that happened on a Friday, the 15th of December. Your claim is that he filed a false report of a hit and run, as a result of which your car was impounded, you lost a catering job, you want him to pay for the impound fees and the loss of income that you had as a result of this catering job.
Yes, Your Honor.
So let's go to December 15th. At what time of the day did you hit his car?
I would say about 8:30 a.m.
What happened when you hit his car?
Well, when I start the car, I put it in gear. The van lurched forward and broke Mr. Freytag's lens covers on his car and scratched his bumper. Then Mr. Freytag came out, running out of his house, yelling at me, and I told him that I was an accident, that I was sorry, that I had insurance, that I would pay for it.
It's not true.
You'll have your turn. Did you give him your insurance card and information?
No, I showed it to him.
What do you mean you showed it to him?
I showed it to him. I said, I have insurance for all my vehicles. He kept yelling at me. He says, "Why? You can't do that. You're not allowed to do that." And I said, "Don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. I have to leave now." And I did it. I had a big event that evening. I will at any time work 3 to 5 parties in a weekend, so
Just try to answer my question, sir.
Okay.
You're not going to get ahead of me. Trust me.
I know.
Trust me.
I do trust you.
You're not. Just trust me that you're not going to get ahead of me. Where were you going?
I was going to the store to pick up some product.
What kind of product?
I think it was paper plates and napkins or something.
Anything else?
It was, I think I needed some sugar and some dairy product and...
So where did you go after you left the store?
I went back and parked
To where? You went back to where?
A street in back of my house, 2 blocks from my house.
And why did you do that?
Because I've been having my tires slashed.
But you had had your tires slashed before and yet you parked in front of your house.
Well, I actually have built a driveway on the side of my house.
You mean just this day you decided when
because
you
I
came
was
back not to park your car there?
It's a hassle to park in that small area that I have.
So instead you parked 2 blocks away?
This time, yes.
And you walked home with all your product?
No, I left the product in the van.
So then whatever you bought you left in the van and you went to your house?
I made some phone calls and, went out in my other car to meet someone.
What time?
9:30, 10 maybe.
So you went to the store, picked up what you needed, you came back, made some phone calls, and then went out again, all in the span of a half hour?
I would say so, yes.
So then you went out again in another one of your cars?
Yes.
Now that car, I guess you weren't worried about having the tires slashed?
No. It had already been slashed.
You mean you drove a car with slashed tires?
No.
And what time did you get home that evening?
We left.
Excuse me?
When I saw my car being towed, I canceled my party and I left.
How did you see your car being towed?
Well, I saw the police in front of my house talking to Mr. Freitag.
About what time, sir?
This is about 10 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, so you didn't leave?
I was driving by and I saw the police in front of the house talking with Mr. Freitag.
Yes.
And I didn't want to deal with the police. They've been searching my house 3-4 times a month.
Just a second. You didn't want to deal with the police at that time.
Yeah.
So I assume that you knew at that time they were talking to Mr. Freitag about the accident that had occurred that morning.
Exactly.
And you didn't want to deal with it at that time.
I don't want to deal with it.
So you left.
Exactly.
Now then you said something about seeing your car being towed. When did that happen?
My neighbor told me that my van had been towed and that the police were looking for me.
At what time did you see your neighbor?
This was in the early afternoon.
What did you do then?
I went to Santa Barbara.
Is that where the car was?
No, that's where the police weren't.
That's where the police were not?
Yes.
Okay, and why did you do that?
Because I'm afraid of the police.
Okay. Okay. When did you finally make contact with the police, Mr. Patterson?
Monday morning.
So that was 3 days later?
Yes.
Okay, and what did you do?
I went in because I called the detectives, wanted me to come in. I came in, I showed them my insurance, and they let me go.
How did you know to see this particular detective? Was there a note on your door?
How did I don't remember.
Okay. But they told you where your car was?
Yes.
And when was your catering job?
That evening, December 15th.
Well, could you explain to me, I mean, even if I bought this whole story, could you explain to me why Mr. Freitag is responsible for you losing a catering job on December 15th?
Because he had my car filed towed for no other reason than to be malicious. I mean, I've lived next door to him.
Just a second. So you had all this stuff prepared, I assume, for this party on December 15th. If you had everything ready, you go to the party and you do the party. You rent a couple of taxi cabs and you get there. Why is he responsible for that?
Because my van was towed.
I'm saying to you, sir, you have the food for the party, you got the paper plates, you got the sugar, you got the dairy, you got everything else. You want to go over to the party, and I assume that you had done all of this stuff well in advance, at least most of it, certainly done in the morning. He didn't interfere. You weren't in jail. You go to do the party. All right, Mr. Freitag, let's hear your version. He hits your car, you hear a noise. What happened?
I believe he hit my car at 8 a.m. in the morning, and I would like to elaborate on something. I believe that my car being struck deliberately is simply a symptom of a larger scope, a bigger picture. I have evidence of a running log of Bill Patterson harassing his wife, and she at this point is 7 months pregnant. Once I called the police because of it. My witness, John Kelly, has called the police based on this log about 4 times, I believe. So this
Can I see the log, please?
It's this wife harassment process, and my worry and my concern for the baby that I believe has brought all of this on.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. William Patterson says neighbor Tim Freytag filed false hit-and-run charges against him. Tim denies the charges were false and says he's concerned for the welfare of William's wife.
Are you aware of the fact that he had called the police as a result of what he believed to be domestic violence in your house?
I believe that he was calling the police, yes.
Is this your wife?
Yes.
Step up. Have you been at home when the police responded to your home?
Pardon me?
Have you been at home when the police came to your home?
Yes.
Involving domestic violence in your home?
The first time, no. Just
at any time?
Yes.
How long have you been married to the plaintiff?
Tomorrow gonna be 3 years.
You have children?
1 baby, yeah.
How old is your baby?
7 months.
Does your husband yell?
Sometimes.
Does he yell loud?
He has a loud voice, yeah.
Do you ever yell at him?
Not often.
Has your husband ever put his hands on you?
No.
Never?
No.
Where do you come from?
I'm from El Salvador.
Do you have any other family here?
No.
You're alone?
Yeah.
Do you know the defendant?
Yeah.
Have you ever spoken with him?
Just one time.
When was that?
I guess I was pregnant when I talked to him. He was doing some gardening, and we live next door, and he just, I don't know, I talked to him.
You never had any problem with him, is that right? You never had any problem with Mr. Freytag?
No.
Can I say something?
Mm-hmm.
I do operate a catering business out of my home. I yell on the phone with my purveyors, with my fishmonger, whoever it is.
That's not what we're talking about
I understand that's not what you're talking about.
Mr. Patterson, that's not what we're talking about
I have built fences between our properties to try and give my neighbors more privacy.
Illegal
but there's
fence.
there's no domestic violence going on, and I consider this harassment. I mean, we have had the agriculture department, the dog catcher,
Mr.
the
Patterson,
building inspector,
Mr.
every
Patterson.
possible person come and inspect us.
Mr. Patterson, we're not talking about yelling and screaming on the phone, sir, to people who are servicing your business. And when I asked you before whether or not you had had any prior dealings of a negative nature with the defendant, you said no.
Yeah.
But you just told me, sir, you were aware of the fact, or believed, that he had called the police with regard to what he believed to be domestic violence coming from your home.
I assumed that. I also assumed that he's been slashing the tires and doing all this other malicious stuff to my property.
You want to say anything else, sir?
It sounded one day and several times like his wife was in distress and he was doing the aggressive yelling.
Were you the only one at home when you heard that?
No.
Who else was at home?
John Kelly on many occasions.
Well, step up, Mr. Kelly. I'd like to hear you, sir.
Anna, my other roommate.
Well, that person's not here. Mr. Kelly?
Yes, Your Honor.
You live in the same house as the defendant?
Yes, we share the house.
Have
Along
you
with
ever
another
heard what appeared to be yelling coming from the plaintiff's home?
I would say frequently, Your Honor, if not consistently. And it was I who made the first phone call alleging domestic abuse, and I think it's ongoing.
Can you tell me what you heard the first time?
Very loud yelling, obviously directed at Gloria. We had been concerned about her ongoing, and I just got to the point where I could no longer ignore it. And by this time, she'd had the baby, and I was concerned that the kid should even be in that environment where all the yelling and screaming didn't seem to me like to be the proper place for the job. But in addition to which, I thought that ultimately it could get physical. Mr. Patterson's got a reputation in the neighborhood for being somewhat strange with his temper.
Did you ever hear the same kind of confrontations coming from the house while Miss Patterson was pregnant?
They did not seem to be as regular, and it didn't register me at the with me at the time. I started that log. We actually kept that log on the refrigerator, and I told everybody in and around the house that any time anything happened with this guy to make a note of it, because I suspected something like this was going to come up. I actually wanted to pursue a restraining order. Tim didn't. I think we need one. When I served him the summons in the case that we originally filed against him to get Tim's damages back, he came at me with a 2x4. I actually found that amusing. I wasn't too concerned, as you may have imagined.
I gather. Are you the other neighbor?
Yes.
Step up, sir. Tell me your name.
James Robinson.
How long have you lived in the neighborhood, Mr. Robinson?
8 years.
You know the plaintiff?
Yes, both.
You know his wife?
Yes.
How far away do you live from them?
I live in a condo right next to them, and actually the side of my house faces their side, and then they're on the other side.
Are you friends?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know the defendant?
Yes, friends with them too.
Have any problem with them?
None at all.
Were you the one who told Mr. Patterson that his car had been towed?
That was the guy across the street.
You know, I have some information about the towing.
Yes.
It was actually I who called the police the second time. I became concerned that Mr. Patterson was probably stashing his vehicle in order to cover up evidence of the accident, because when I returned to the house, I actually saw the accident happen. What happened was I went out looking for the van. I found the van. There was clear evidence of the impact on it. I called Tim on his cell phone. He went and took pictures. I then called the police and told them that the reason that I was calling them is that we could not determine either the license or insurance information from Mr. Patterson. The officer was great. He says to me, "We'll go get it." He says, "He'll tell me or I'll take his truck." He went to the house. This is approximately 4:30 in the afternoon. Nobody responded. Police then went back to the truck, called the tow truck. By this time, it's dark, so it's fairly late in the day.
So this was at least at 5:30 or 6 o'clock.
Definitely, it was after sunset. But I was the one in this.
Well, after you'd bring catered food to a party.
I would think so.
Right. Okay. Mr. Robinson.
Yes.
Ever heard any yelling coming from their house?
A few times. But again, I know Billy, and I know that he does have a loud voice, and I know it's harmless.
You don't live with him?
No.
When you heard the loud yelling, Mr. Robinson, you look like a very honest guy. I know I'm going to get honest answers from you. Was that yelling that was coming from conversation with an employee on the telephone, or was it coming from someone who was yelling at his wife?
I think it could have been a combination of both. I think, like I say, Billy's very emotional and can be very loud. I know that he wouldn't hurt her because I've confronted him on that, and I kind of...
Mr. Robinson, you know I've been around the block a little bit in this business.
Right.
When you say you've had conversations with Mr. Patterson about it, it must have bothered you a little bit.
Yeah,
Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
That it bothered you a little bit. That he's got a wife who comes from El Salvador who doesn't have another living soul here. You don't hear her yelling at him, do you?
No.
Just him. Mr. Patterson, you have no basis for your lawsuit, sir. Instead of following through, you took your car away and you stashed it a couple of blocks away. You saw the police were looking for you. You avoided the police. You said that yourself. You wanted not to deal with the police at all. You figured maybe the whole thing would blow over. I don't know what you thought. The defendant, shh, I'm speaking. You're not going to yell at me. Trust me. The defendant had an absolute right to call the police and say, he hit my car, he took off, he secreted his car along with the evidence of the accident, which was on your car, and the police had absolutely every right to go and impound your car until you came in, which you did, not that day, but 3 days later. The fact that you, according to you, lost a catering job, that's your fault. I believe the witness for the defendant that your car was not towed until much later in the day. And if I had a responsibility of catering a party, I would have hired 2 taxi cabs, said I have all the stuff ready, I'm taking the stuff over there, and I'll deal with this car at some other time. The thing that's most distressing to me is that you lied to me with regard to whether you and the defendant had had any prior negative dealings, and it is clear to me that you did. You were aware of the fact that the defendant had, in fact, called the police with regard to what he believed was domestic violence coming from your home.
I suspected it.
You suspected it. Well, your suspicions were well-founded, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Robinson, who came here today as your witness, was sufficiently concerned with the welfare of your wife to have had a discussion with you about what he perceived to be overbearing, let's use a nice word, overbearing behavior on your part with regard to your wife. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, that's fair.
I didn't say violent. I said overbearing. Put your hand down, sir. I mean, is there something really relevant?
I wrote a note to him on a neighborly basis saying, your child is going to suffer from what you're doing. Why don't you get anger management? And I put it in his mailbox.
Well, there's no question in my mind that he knew that the police complaint emanated from you. I believe that you probably have an anger problem, Mr. Patterson. You had an anger problem that day. Your wife is alone here in a foreign country. She has no family here. And that is a very, very unfortunate circumstance for somebody who is the wife of somebody who has an anger problem. And you do. You have a child, you have a son.
I do not
You
have an anger problem.
Do you have a son? I asked you.
Yes, I have a son.
Sons emulate what they see. If you do not respect their mother and demonstrate that respect on an ongoing basis, you will raise an abuser. If that's what you want to do, go ahead and do it. Your lawsuit before me is dismissed. And Bird, would you take Mrs. Patterson aside and ask her if she wants to have a discussion with me? I'd be more than happy to speak with her privately in the event that she wants to discuss anything with me privately or any referrals that I might make for her. Thank you.
Đây là dòng sữa TH ít đường 110 ml. Và câu chuyện của TH thì đối với trang trại chăn nuôi của TH là một cái hệ thống trang trại chăn nuôi bò sữa với cái quy mô công nghiệp, với cái sự hoàn hảo của quy trình chăm sóc và quản lý đàn bò theo cái công nghệ hiện đại. Bò được nghe nhạc, được tắm nước sạch và được uống nước sạch mỗi ngày, là một hệ thống cung cấp các cái sản phẩm thực phẩm hoàn toàn từ tự nhiên. Và đối với dòng sữa TH ít đường 100 ml này thì hoàn toàn từ sữa tươi của trang trại, sạch nguyên chất theo chuẩn của trang trại TH. Và các cái thành phần dinh dưỡng có trong cái dòng sữa TH ít đường 100 ml này thì thành phần dinh dưỡng trung bình trong 100 ml sẽ gồm có năng lượng 70 calo, chất béo 3,2 gram, chất đạm 2,9 gram, carbon hydrate 7,4 gram, kali 100 mg và các cái vitamin và khoáng chất có sẵn trong sữa tươi. Vitamin và cái thành phần thì sữa hoàn toàn từ sữa bò tươi 97%, đường 2,8%, chất ổn định thì có chất 471, 407 và 421. Sử dụng hoàn toàn từ cái sữa tươi của trang trại sạch nguyên chất theo cái chuẩn của trang trại TH. Và điều đặc biệt của dòng sữa TH là không sử dụng cái chất bảo quản.